Welcome to the Horror Hangout, a podcast where two bearded film fans watch the best and worst horror movies of all time and talk about them. Today, we are joined by two very special guests. It's Liam James and Liam Banks from the They're Queer podcast. Hello. Hello, guys.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello. I
Hi.
completely bypassed introducing my co-host, Mr.
Andy Conduit Turner. You also, before you did that, you bypassed introducing yourself. Very confusing if it's your first
Jesus
episode.
Christ. What is going on?
Overall a success then, yeah? Nailed it.
Yeah, and I'm Ben Errington. There, a nice reversed introduction there.
In many ways, honouring our guests and respecting our regular listeners. So you're welcome, everybody.
That's true. We got there in the end. All of the bases were covered, just in the wrong order. And that's fine, right?
Yeah, it is. As long as you do everything right eventually, that's fine. Luke's not here, everyone, by the way. He's not poorly, he's just busy.
He's not poorly, just busy. He might be poorly. No, he's not. He's fine. Yeah, so we're reviewing a movie today called The Burning, and we're all potentially burning from the inside out because the temperatures in the UK, temperatures in the UK are astronomical, sweating from every orifice and stuff. Has everybody coping nicely? Has everybody got fans aimed at their shins?
I've turned mine off in respect of the podcast, but
I've got talcum powder in places I've never put talcum powder before.
Get the talc out. Yeah. I just hit the fan back on. I've got my fan on I've got no respect for the podcast. I can't even do the intro properly.
Guys, I gave you the intro, so the fan's going back on, okay? The fan's back on. There we go.
There we go. If you can hear it.
Modern technology can filter that stuff out. And if not, you've just hit the ASMR white noise market. So all good.
I'm just going to start doing stuff with my hands on hairbrushes and the weird shit that happens.
I'm going to eat a giant pickle.
Oh, my good Lord. It's awful.
What about the ASMR stuff?
Do a bit of whispering.
A giant pickle. Wow. So thanks for joining us, Liams.
Thank you so much for having us.
Do you like to be referred to as Liams, or are you strictly against that?
No, you can call me whatever you want. I'm not fussy.
I mean, yeah. Also,
I mean,
also that.
I mean, I won't do that. You know.
I think Liam's is fine. I suppose.
Yeah.
You'll have to tell us at the end of the podcast which you think is the better Liam, but I'll let you guys decide.
Okay.
Thank our Liams at the end.
Thanks, Liams. Which one's your favourite? Bye. See you later.
And in the end, we were all Liams.
In the end,
that's
we're
the
all
twist.
Liams together.
Yeah.
We were the Liams all along.
It's the Liams you make along the way that are important.
That's it.
It sure is. I guess so. They're Queer is a monthly podcast powered by Super Freak Media Podcast Network, discussing queer themes, perspectives, and creators in the horror genre. How long have you guys been doing your podcast? What kind of inspired you to get started talking about horror movies?
You go. He thinks he's the better Liam. You go.
There's definitely a power balance going on.
Struggle.
I don't think.
No.
I know.
I don't think.
Yeah, it started almost a year ago now, which is like very exciting. And we've worked together and been friends for like a decade. So we
realised that just a few days ago.
Yeah.
Like, that's insane. We've known each other that long, but
so it was kind of just because I wanted to start up my own podcast, but I didn't know what I was doing, and it's not fun just me talking on my own. So it's just fun that we had somebody to bounce back and forth with. So Liam approached me and was like, let's do this thing. And I got really excited, and it sprung from there. Liam can probably expand on that further.
I mean, that was pretty much it. I think last September was our first episode, and we were still running the No Ghouls Allowed podcast over at Super Freak Media. And I don't know, queer horror was always something I was super interested in. And I didn't really notice any UK voices on the subject. There was a lot of US podcasts, and obviously everyone's experience in the community is a different one anyway. So I think it was fun. Obviously I knew the other Liam, for us to just get together, and essentially if you listen to the podcast, it's just us having a chat for like an hour or two about a film that sometimes is very tentatively a queer film. we have reached in a couple of those episodes.
I managed to make the best allegory about the Blair Witch Project, and I'm still proud as all living hell about that. So yeah, I made the Blair Witch gay.
You made the Blair Witch gay. Can you please explain?
Oh yeah, a preview for everyone. It's I say that it's an allegory. It's like a dark, twisted version of the Wizard of Oz, and they're each of the survivors going through the woods and looking for like a heart, a brain, etc.
A map. They looked for that for quite a while.
And a map, yeah.
I didn't know if you said a map or a man then, and I was like, well, there's the gay. But yeah, nailed it.
I think with a lot of horror films, sometimes you go into them, you don't expect there to be certain, queer themes, and then there are, like, unexpectedly, and then there's also like this whole there's a whole discussion already going on about that. I mean, I didn't see A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2 until very, very recently, and since then I've been watching documentaries about like the themes within that movie, and I recently watched Never Sleep Again and the themes of that movie, and then the main actor is gay as well. And I didn't know any of these things, but then suddenly there's it's like this whole world that sort of opens up, and that you find out so much about. So
yeah, we try and get into like the theory side of things quite a lot, but we try not to take it too seriously. I feel like there's a lot of tragedy involving queer themes, so we just try and have a laugh with it all. That's not to say we don't go deep into it, and yeah, we try to have a lot of laughs, and it's also become a love letter, not just to horror, but to Kelly Rowland too. I
am wondering if you're going to get Kelly Rowland in this episode, if it's going to go as far as when we guest on other people's podcasts. We also
she's everywhere. She's omnipotent,
omnipresent. She's everything all at once.
You did communicate with me on Twitter earlier using an image of Kelly Rowland.
You did, and you responded with one, which made me very happy.
Responded with one, but I know exactly what scene, and I even know exactly the line that image is from.
It's incredible. I'm getting it tattooed. I've already said it on our podcast, but I'm getting it tattooed. I love it.
It was from Freddy versus Jason, Andy.
I'd say it's got to be Freddy versus Jason. Is the bit where she gives Freddy a real dressing down about his choice of outfits?
Absolutely. I literally
I
had a message today asking us when we're going to do that episode, because I think the people want it, Liam. So I think we've got to give them what they need.
It'll happen. As soon as Kelly's people get back in touch with me.
I think that's it. The long-term ambition is that Kelly Rowland will one day appear on the podcast. So
should do a live read of those.
Oh my god, that would bring me
a live dramatic.
In
reading.
fact, I will give her written permission to say it as well. Yeah. I will literally.
Can't be cancelled if you've been given permission.
Just this once, like for old time's sakes. Here's written permission. I've got it signed by the council elders. Like,
you can say cancel. You can do it cancel proof. That's great. I mean, to be fair to Kelly, Freddy Krueger did start it pretending to pinch her nose like that.
Exactly.
What a childish prank. Also, the only way to officially get hold of Kelly Rowland is to message her on Microsoft Excel, if you remember. And then that's the only way. It's the only way she will respond.
I have so much time for that joke and that reference. So
Me too.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Just before we move on from Kelly Rowland, I take it this will come up episode 1 where she was mentioned. We all appreciate how well she can do the sound of a sonar pulse, right? In that entire. Every time I listen to Nellie Kelly, I always think I'm on the hunt for Red October. It's great.
It's so weird. Of all things, it reminds me of. It reminds me specifically of the sonar sound in the '66 Batman movie. Like it really reminds me of that. Of all things for it to remind me of.
Wow.
Well, we said no tangents, but here we are.
You've had a plethora of references there.
So if we haven't sold it to you already, we talk about horror films, Kelly Rowland, and we also discuss real life horror, but in the way of hookups. So we talk about gay dating apps such as Grindr. Other apps are available. And we want to hear people's real life hookup stories. And sometimes they're gross, sometimes they're funny. And we've just most recently had quite a heartwarming one, which was...
I mean, it was pretty
surprise.
Gross.
Unexpected.
Heartwarming, yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Gross.
It was a lot.
Gross. And eventually... interesting. To be fair, tangents are definitely allowed in the intro to the podcast. That's fine.
If you don't like them, that's your problem. Plus, there's time codes. Time codes are plenty. Enjoy those.
Time codes in the description. You can skip right through to the.
But why would anyone want to skip those? Let's be honest.
If what you're here for is the film school, scrap it, film university level analysis that we get into here, let's face it, with introducing podcasts, if you're hearing this far, it's not what you're here for. None of us went to film school. We are the ones to tell you which horror character is most like Zippy from Rainbow, what is a summer instrument and what is a winter instrument. That's what it's all about.
How Kelly Rowland communicates. We've made an assumption. Liam, did you guys go to film school?
I went to university.
Film university.
And studied film and video production. So
there we go.
Yeah, I guess I'm
again, not again, Andy. We've got to stop inviting people who have got more qualifications in talking about movies than us. And eventually,
I did a degree in theatre. I know fuck all. It's all good.
There we go. You can bring the level down just slightly then, if that's all right.
And the tone.
Does. Yeah.
And the tone.
The thing is, the thing you qualify in and study in doesn't necessarily mean my degrees in criminology ain't Batman.
Exactly. Exactly. And we are talking about this film as well on this episode. So
yeah. Okay. I'll quickly jump into some horror news. There's a few little bits knocking about out there that I thought was worth mentioning. Matt and Ross Duffer, the Duffer brothers, after the success, well, we're going to call it success of Stranger Things, Series 4, Volume 1 and 2. What am I talking about? They've launched a new label with Netflix titled Upside Down Pictures, and there are several hot projects already on the menu, including a Stranger Things spin-off series, an adaptation of Stephen King's The Talisman, which, if you're eagle-eyed, you'll notice that a certain Lucas was reading from right at the end. And also a live-action version of Death Note, which I think already exists, doesn't it? Wasn't there already a series?
There is a series, yeah.
So I'm guessing maybe
which Netflix did, I'm sure, as well. So
yeah,
interesting.
I don't think it was received very well, was it? An original series from the creators of Dark Crystal: Age of Resistance as well. Yeah, so this could be interesting. What would you want? I guess the main question here is, what would you want from a Stranger Things spin-off? Who would you like to see included, and what sort of time period?
I'd just like to follow the life and times of Jim Hopper. So
yeah,
from the moment of, let's just say, from the age of 18 up until the bit where we're married. We have a couple of dogs and cats together. I'd quite like to know more about like the government stuff. Like, I don't want to follow a specific character. I'd quite like to see like all the MK Ultra stuff. I think that'd be really cool.
Yeah.
How about
I agree.
An X-Files set in the Stranger Things universe?
That is 100%
a crossover. I would love. I want Gillian Anderson in it, basically.
Gillian Anderson could be in anything, and I'd be happy with it. I know. I think Finn Wolfhard had some kind of suggestions or input on this spin-off series. So I'm interested to kind of like see where it's going to go. I think we said on our episode that I personally wouldn't mind seeing like a UK perspective of it. Obviously, it's being from the UK, I think there's a nice opportunity for us to see kind of that side of it. I don't know if these portals to the Upside Down are going to appear anywhere else. I just think it'd be pretty cool. But
I'd say that Derby, where I am at the moment, is pretty close to hell. So that's a good a place as any to set it.
Yeah,
from Tamworth originally, Liam. So there's ashen skies there for days. I think I'd like to see either good old Will, I'd like to see him actually get a game of D&D. You could animate that just like a cool D&D, or like an Eddie-led like D&D campaign, just little side stories, no stakes because they are just playing a game, just a fun little story of these characters role playing as other characters in a D&D game. You could animate it, or assuming that everything goes fine in season 5, Jim Hopper just settling down as a detective, and doing like Mrs. Fletcher level solving a crime. Just a weekly low stakes. Little Jim Hopper.
Yeah. I'll be up for that. I mean, any chance to spend more time with these characters, I think, without thinking who's gonna die, and because that was like a weight that was definitely on me throughout the whole of season 4.
If we're gonna lose
stressful.
people.
It was very stressful.
Steve and Robin having different jobs like the Chuckle Brothers.
yeah.
I wouldn't mind actually seeing Steve fully just settle down and have a family. Like, I'd be down for that. I'd love to see that.
I want to see Blobby.
What was that?
I want to see the Demogorgon version of Mr. Blobby. Like, that would bring me so much joy. Just imagine, like, the gates of the upside down opens, you just hear blobby, 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 blobby. Oh my god, that's what I want.
No one talks about how terrifying Mr. Blobby actually was. Like 100% legitimately terrifying.
He was chaos.
Not okay.
Chaos personified.
Oh, it's giving me chills just thinking about it.
Do you remember there was like
eldritch being chaos personified?
Yeah.
Yeah, Lovecraft definitely created that one.
Gaze at him too long and fall into madness.
There was does anyone remember like a TV show about Mr. Blobby that was almost like Mr. Bean, where he would just go somewhere
and he had a family. Yeah.
He had a family.
He had baby Blobby and Mrs. Blobby, yeah.
Don't, because I'm going to Google it and this is going to give me nightmares.
And a Blobby fish. I was a big Blobby fan.
I feel like Mr. Blobby is perfectly right for like a banana split style remake.
Duvet.
Mr. Blobby Duvet. Did you ever go to Crinkly Bottom?
No.
The Mr. Blobby, Noel Edmonds theme park.
Noel Edmonds theme park is completely derelict now.
It's called Crinkly Bottom.
Well,
it's called
Blobbyland, but it's called Blobbyland. But yeah, this Noel Edmonds used to have a TV show, and it was set in Crinkly Bottom.
I was going to say, I think I've seen him.
I'm more scared of Noel. I'm more scared of Noel Edmonds than I am of Mr. Blobby. So
because of his power to manifest reality, he's like that boy from the Twilight Zone.
I just tangent again. I hate. He's like, what strategy have you got for opening boxes? I'm like, opening boxes.
Yeah,
there's no strategy.
I'm 100% with you.
There's either 1p in there or there isn't.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm going to stall for time until my associates can capture the banker's family.
Tell us a lovely, heartfelt story about how you came to be on this show. No one gives a shit. Just open the box. Like, I really do hate quiz shows where it's just a game of chance and then people try to have a strategy. Like, absolutely not. Just get on with it. This is hour long. This show. Just open all those boxes so I can go home. Jesus.
Just make it up. If I ever go on this question, I just want to make it up. What's your strategy for this one? Oh, I'm just going to imagine what Optimus Prime would do in this situation. And what's the money for? Sister's Eye operation.
Sisters.
Just something really important.
I've got some experiments and I can't really talk about it on television. The researchers that you've given completely normal answers to are like, stop.
Funneling money into a drug ring.
Vigilante business.
Another piece of news is that the upcoming Orphan prequel, Orphan First Kill, that's like a proper John Wick style title. There's officially a poster now, and with a tagline, "She will kill to be part of a family." I'm confused by this though. So it does star Isabel Fuhrman, who obviously played the titular orphan, but it's called First Kill, so it's a prequel. But now she's grown up. She's
visibly much older. There's no way you're mistaking her for a child.
Are they going to do? Not. Are they going to do like the in-camera stuff that they did with Hobbits? Like,
well, that's what they've said. They've said that a lot of it's been achieved practically, because I think a lot of us were kind of a bit like, oh, well, are they going to do that weird de-aging that they did in It Chapter 2?
She's gonna...
But
oh shit!
I mean, there's literally a picture of her, and she looks like she's in her 30s, dressed as a little girl.
She's gonna do that thing where she spends the whole movie on her knees with her shoes just placed under her knees.
Why not?
And just put on a voice. Yeah,
I think I actually prefer that. It's I don't know. It's directed by the guy who did The Boy, though, isn't it? The Boy films. So I'm not too sure it's going to be great.
Brahms 2 Bad Bombs for life.
What's his obsession with diminutive evil? Get over it.
Is The Boy the one where the killer's got that really nice hairy chest?
It is, yeah.
I didn't see it. I just remember his thick knit jumper. He's got a real thick, chunky knit on that.
It's just,
maybe that was his hair. Maybe that was his chest hair.
It was made out of human hair, yeah.
It had been in the walls for a long time, and then they ruined it in the second one. He's a scabby dolly now.
Yeah, there's just some weird. I'm sure there's like some weird like fetus-looking thing at the end. I don't know. I think I switched off.
I think we did a double bill episode a while back covering both of those movies, which was both boys, which was not a great time. I'll be honest.
I can imagine.
That's all I've pretty much got for horror news.
I've got some.
Oh, there we go. Okay.
We've got a release date for the remake of the Train to Busan remake.
Ah, yes. I think I saw
it's
that.
Be called The Last Train to New York. And it's coming out April next year.
So that's been delayed. Has it been delayed?
I don't think I've watched a westernized version of a Japanese, an Asian horror film that I've enjoyed. I didn't mind The Grudge as much, but that's because I like Sarah Michelle Gellar. But other than that, I don't know. It seems unnecessary, seeing as The Train to Busan is so beloved. But it's also like it's because of the release for that. Salem's Lot, the remake, has been pushed back as well now because of that.
Okay, so that's what happened. I think I misread the title, the sort of headline for that.
I had a feeling that had happened because we've had like nothing, have we? I know the stuff out of CinemaCon for Salem's Lot was like positive.
Okay.
So, but I don't know.
All we've seen from Salem's Lot is like that image of them stood on a hill. That's it.
It's the book cover, isn't it? Yeah. It's
yeah. Oh, so like the book when they say.
I don't know if it's going to be a still from the book, from the movie, or what's happening with it, but I don't know. I'm excited either way. Have you started watching Castle Rock season 2 yet, Liam?
I haven't watched season 1, so no. I've just watched.
Get on it.
I've just I will watch it eventually. It's just that I have a lot to watch at the moment.
Content is infinite. Yeah.
So Last Train to New York is going to be directed by that Timo Tjahjanto, who directed some good bits in the VHS movies and that movie The Night Comes for Us. So I think he's got quite a good track record in terms of. It's not that they've just got any old. It's when they attach like an American director who probably hasn't got much in terms of credits. That's when you need to be worried.
Yeah.
Or an American director that has like credits that just are completely off the tone, like McGee.
The Tooth Fairy.
Yeah.
Don't mess with the Zohan.
It's that twice we've mentioned that film this evening.
There we go. We'll get a third one in before the end of the recording, definitely. Train to Busan obviously is great. Did you guys see the sequel that they made as well?
I did. Yeah, I didn't love it, if I'm being honest.
No, it was very CGI heavy action film set in a post-apocalyptic world. Didn't really work. So hopefully they go back to basics with this. But yeah, I mean, I'll definitely check it out as long as it's. I'm just worried. Obviously, the Grudge, the most recent Grudge, from like 2 years ago or something.
Yeah,
I didn't know there was one. Oh.
It had such promise as well. Like, I mean, I love, and is it Andrea Riseborough who's in it? I think she's incredible. And I think it looked stunning. Cinematography wise, it was a lovely film to look at. But yeah, just what were they thinking? Very odd.
What were they thinking? Very strange. And a weird film to kind of like remake / reboot, you know?
Yeah.
So
yeah. Very weird.
Very weird. Yeah. So apart from that, has anybody got anything that they've seen in the last 7 days or so that they'd like to chat about, like to mention?
I saw that the Halloween Ends trailer has now been officially rated, and I think there's rumblings we're going to get the trailer next Monday now. So I don't know whether in relation to when this is released, it might already then be out. But I think it's just, again, what was shown at CinemaCon. So it's like a minute or so of footage. And I think it ends with Laurie fighting Michael in a kitchen. But it worries me that they keep saying fans aren't going to love it. I don't see.
I mean, that's a weird thing to say, isn't it?
Yeah, they keep saying that it's going to like not be what people expect. I think there's rumors that he only has half a mask now as well, so half of his face is out. I don't know.
Honest,
it's going to be interesting.
Anything's going to beat that sequel that Rob Zombie did. So
yeah,
good with them.
Oh, maybe that's why fans aren't going to be happy.
I think this is what they're saying. It's maybe a bit comparable to.
Maybe Sherry Moon Zombie and that Oz is going to be back saying, "It's me, Sherry Moon and the Oz."
She just gallops by in the background. It's just like, oh, hi.
I swear they keep saying that with every new Halloween film. They say it's going to be like nothing you've seen before. And it's like, well, what do you mean by that? Like, what, a giant snake?
No,
like,
they mean the evil dies
dance
tonight.
What was it, Liam? I don't think
it's never happened.
Evil, hurry up and die, for fuck's sake.
That would be true though. If they said, they definitively have killed him. Like a doctor comes, 100% dead, cremate him. They go to his funeral. Don't know why they'd go. They didn't like him very much. But yeah, definitely 100% dead forever.
But you know what's they always do when you say they didn't like him very much. There's always a moment, isn't there, where Laurie kind of like has a moment where she goes, "Actually, I do love you after all this. You are related to me after all." Well, is she related to him anymore?
Not anymore.
Only in some continuities.
Jesus, I can't keep up.
There's so many Halloween timelines. It's good fun. I like the fact that you could watch any of them as well and just like that be canon.
Yeah.
Multiverses are in this season, guys. What if what if they 3 Jokers this and there's double Michaels?
Can you imagine? She just gets sucked into an alternate dimension at the end, and it's Jason.
The Michael who laughs.
The smiling Michael, just grinning.
Another Michael where he's just a right old chatterbox.
Yeah. I'm gonna kill you now.
Wow. Let's do it.
I have I don't think I've watched anything of note. I finally got round to finishing Saint Maud. It's been I've been trying to finish it for a while, and I finally finished it, and that happened. So yeah, it's a film that came on my screen.
Film that happened.
There was a TikTok of all things that I saw, and it was like the most mind-bending horror films you'd watch, and I was like,
yeah,
right, okay. And some things on there were like teeth, and I was like, it's not particularly mind-bending, but okay. And then
that's next week's episode.
And
then,
it's incredible, guys. You should listen to the episode.
I quite like teeth.
I don't think it's that bad.
It's if you do want more vagina dentata though in your life, there is a great book by Hailey Piper called The Queen of Teeth.
Seen that promoted recently. I've got it on my reading list.
Okay.
But rather than things that I've watched, I can let you know I've just read a very weird book called Negative Space by B.R. Yeager. And it's probably but if we're going to talk about mind-bending books, that took me on it. I felt like I was taking drugs the whole time.
They've dipped the paper in like LSD.
Yeah.
Yeah, honestly, it did feel like that at some point.
That'd be a really good idea. Yeah, they should definitely
people
do
who
that.
lit their fingers when they turn the pages.
Bond villain.
Oh,
that is such a pet peeve of mine. I cannot stand that.
I'm on a Kindle, so I wouldn't get the effects.
Yeah.
I'm just there on a Kindle.
Just lick it.
If you lick your fingers, the touchscreen doesn't register. Why is this not? Like you're trying to use your phone in the rain. It thinks I'm not pressing anything now. It thinks I'm pressing everything.
Your phone is locked for 5 minutes.
I was gonna say, how have we got to 2022 and we still can't use our phones in the rain?
I know.
Yeah.
What hope is there for people, if I'm
Bloody
honest?
hell.
What's the point? Global warming takers, please.
It's trying.
It is. I'm slowly
Yeah.
just melting
I've
away.
got a bit of boob sweat going on. Whew.
Have you got the W yet? Have you got the underline of the?
I've got
boobs?
half. I've got a U.
You've got a U. Wonderful.
Anybody else seen anything this week?
Got a couple
Liam
to
B?
check off, Ben.
Go on.
So I saw the Banana Splits, not the 60s show, the sort of horror remake. Really odd choice.
Yeah.
It's very silly. That's all I can say about it, really. It's a bit like what's the Nick Cage one that is also Five Nights at Freddy's, which this
Willy's
is
Wonderland.
Willy's Wonderland.
Yeah,
I would say Willy's Wonderland is probably a bit better.
Yeah, for sure.
It
has Nicolas Cage.
Yeah, it's daft, it's low budget. It's dead silly. If, like me, you had a passing understanding of what the Banana Splits was because it was on Big Breakfast sometimes, then it's an interesting watch. But otherwise, don't go mad. I've carried on with my catch up on Paranormal Activity. I'm on the Ghost World now, which is where Toby is on screen more than anyone because they have a special camera that can see ghosts. So he's amongst it the whole time. He's barely off.
Woo!
Yeah, he's literally doing that the whole time. He's just
What's he look like? What's he look like, Toby?
Oh, he's just a middle-aged man at the end. But before, with a ghost camera, he is just an ominous black shape, and sometimes it does a frowny face. One thing I can tell you, watching these programs as they go through, I know they can see him and all that, and he's a really powerful demon. But at the beginning, he always ends up being. People always think, the parents that always think he's like an imaginary friend to the kids and what have you. I don't know why kids get on with him so well. He doesn't seem like he's that funny.
No.
The
camera pans and he's just juggling. Just doing something fun.
Seems like he's a real downer.
Yeah, he does.
I think the parents, if I was in a Paranormal Activity, I'd be negging him quite seriously. Don't be friends with Toby. I wouldn't be like, I forbid you from speaking to Toby. You're just feeding into it. Say, that Toby, he wants you to he's rubbish. Isn't there any of the good games? Do you want a new PlayStation? Got your PS5? Toby's not gonna get a look in. He's gonna be going to your kids saying, "Here, I reckon your real name's Hunter, and I'm gonna possess you." Like, fuck off, Toby.
Fuck off, Toby.
Well, they did try that in that one where they got the cool Xbox Connect.
Oh, Toby, you mean Paranormal Activity 4, Toby versus Xbox?
The Xbox Connect has been name dropped on this podcast more than probably the official Microsoft podcast. The amount of times been mentioned.
Mostly because of Toby.
Mostly because of Toby.
Good old Toby.
I've only got the last one, the next of kin. I don't know what accessory or gimmick he's going to be this time.
I saw that one.
It'll be a Wii.
Oh,
honestly, I thought the next one should be a Wii, and he steps on the platform and it tells him that he's overweight, and you just hear him groan. Just leave.
Because now he's got a body, and that'll how it goes full circle. I've got a physical form, and now I've got body dysmorphia, so I'm going back to the spirit world.
Absolutely.
Yeah. The other thing I must highlight, probably my recommendation of the week. I watched a film called Bloody New Year.
What a film.
Either of you seen it?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. What a wild time. Tell you what, better than The Shining as far as haunted hotels go.
Well, I'd argue and say most films are, but there we go.
Right. Okay, we're having words after this, Liam.
I don't like Stanley Kubrick. So.
He denounced Hitchcock on our podcast. He's denounced Kubrick on our podcast.
Both of them bad blokes, though.
Yes. Yeah.
What, Hitler?
Wow.
No.
He's all right.
There's a lot of male directors I take issues with.
Bloody New Year, though. What a time.
Yeah.
What made you want to watch Bloody New Year? How did this pop into you?
Just watched The Burning and thought, I'll watch another bit of 80s fun. To be honest,
it's British as well, right?
It's halfway through the year, so.
Yeah, it's called Bloody New Year, but it's set in July. They openly say it as a line. What's this hotel doing decorated for Christmas? It's July. And just watch it for the opening scene where the heroes of the story no shit, get into a big fight with some carnival operators. It's the whole circumstance that brings about this horrific event that goes to a ghosty hotel is that the girl is being spun too hard on the waltzers by some carnival operators. And these men come, the guys, our heroes, come along, see it happening, and pull the fuse out of the waltzers so that the guys like go flying off it into oblivion and pull the fuse out. And genuinely, one of them then antagonizes the men by giving them the classic no before running away, and then they drive their truck into a ghost train. And this is before they go to the haunted hotel.
Okay. I mean, I am officially sold. Initially, I was like, what?
Yeah,
but I'm definitely sold now.
I'm looking forward to your episode on this now, guys.
I think there has to be one.
New
It
Year
has been a
special
while since I saw anything
or July special.
So fucked. It's so good.
Incredible.
That's your recommendation for the week, there.
I just had to have a look because obviously the time it was released is the era of the tagline, and this one is: should old acquaintance be forgot or just brutally murdered?
Yes.
It literally said, should old acquaintance be forgot or just brutally murdered?
Yeah, that's the tagline.
Not even a question mark at the end. It's almost like a statement.
Yeah, rhetorical.
You could have had another one. You could have had Old Lang's Die. You could have had
yeah.
Yeah,
that is a film title. Right, okay, I'm going to make that now.
I'm fully pitching for everyone to watch Bloody New Year. What a time!
Oh yeah, I'm sold, man. Anything else? Was that it for this week?
That's it. Apart from the real life horror of while it's too hot, I promised I'd tell you it's too hot recently, isn't it? So it's okay. Got the windows open, lovely bit of breeze. Yesterday, exceptionally hot, except loads of wasps outside my house. Literally hundreds, trying to build a nest, trying to get into every open window of the house. We were literally catching them in glasses and throwing them back out, and had to close all the windows and then just stay inside watching them bash against the window like it was in The Birds but with wasps, and just be really hot and sad. That was
just be really hot and sad.
Have they left you alone now?
Oh, they've fucked off today. Yeah.
Well, the good news about wasps, because I had a really bad nest where I used to live, is they will leave this year and they will never come back. They're just absolute arseholes for the year. So you've got to put up with it for a little while.
What do you mean they'll leave this year and never come back? Like,
they won't build. They won't where other wasps have lived. If they see a wasp nest, they go, "Oh no."
Oh, okay.
So in many ways, you've got years of happiness ahead of you.
I thought you had a schedule or something. It's fine.
Yeah, I'm going to shift the wasps out of this area.
It's fine. They're doing Monaco in the winter.
I went one step further. I thought
jury service. You'll get them every so, and then it's all right. It's my turn for wasps, I guess.
Oh yeah. I went one step further. I thought you meant wasps are done. After this year,
they're cancelled.
That's it. They're never coming back. They're all doing.
They were quoting Freddy versus Jason. We cancelled them.
That just sounds horrific, though. No, I'm out. I'm out.
Yeah.
No.
Liam B, have you seen anything this week?
I watched The Sadness, the Taiwanese zombie film. I know it's described as like the most depraved thing you'll ever see, and I will say it probably lives up to that. I had some words with you about it, Liam, and I don't know how I feel about it yet. I don't know if it's a film that's justified in what it's saying or not. It has to be seen to be believed, I guess. Have any of you guys seen it so far?
I want to see it. I was excited by the trailers, and then not to make light of it, but I think the quickest description I can give is people said it was a bit sexual assaulty, a bit rapey, and I was like, it's not a fun afternoon watch, really. I have to be in the mood.
No.
I said,
yeah.
It leaves a bit of so I saw it like I think on release weekend, and I was like, okay, yeah, it's depraved, yeah, it's gory, but I'm like, is it really saying anything that is particularly interesting? It feels like it's a bit of it feels like it's in bad taste rather than saying anything particularly worth listening to.
I've got to agree. It was recommended to me, and I usually shy away from those sorts of films. And I was like, yeah, I'll give it a go. And it wasn't too bad, I didn't think, to begin with. But then when the carnage does start, it doesn't really stop. And it goes places.
Yeah. It just reminded me of like a film like some edgelord would make. oh yeah, you want to see a horrible horror movie, do you? Wait till you see this, and it's got all this stuff in it. You're like, well, yeah, but I don't know.
I've got on many rants about those type of people, like my least favorite people.
Yeah.
Just realize
how much they can like pan out, like, yeah, and then there's maggots. So what's the maggots on? Baby, the worst thing that can happen.
And the baby was reading a book that was like had LSD on the pages, so the baby's tripping balls. And then there was wasps.
Yeah, and guess what? You know that baby? Adolf Hitler.
No.
It's just
an origin story.
Like, I've got a still of the film on in the background, and I look like, in old ships when you had like
the
woman on the front. Yeah, I feel like I'm that's what I feel like today.
Also, I kept thinking, I know we'll obviously get into it. With this scene, they built a raft and those paddles so quickly. It took Lost like 3 seasons to build a fucking raft. How have they done it like in one afternoon?
It was so impressive. That's because they didn't go to camp, did they?
Wow.
I love how the campers reflect on like, oh, that was the best activity. The kids had so much fun building a raft.
They loved it. It brought them together, and they all died on it too. Anything else, Liam B? Was it just the sadness?
It was just the sadness, and then the sadness I felt after watching the sadness. Yeah. So
yeah.
Ending on a positive note.
Yeah, I think I felt the same, to be fair. So I've watched a couple of things this week. I'll quickly rattle through them. So I watched Never Sleep Again, the Elm Street Legacy documentary, which is like 4 hours long, but it just didn't feel 4 hours long. It was really nice to just sort of relive most of the franchise. And it's like a definitive and extensive rundown, but with input from everybody who counts. So directors, actors, writers, makeup artists. It feels like it's one for the mega fans. And me, I've mentioned this before in this podcast. I never grew up watching Nightmare on Elm Street movies, but I almost feel like the more of them that I watch for the first time, the more I think it might be one of my favorite horror franchises. I just feel like it's got so much going for it, you know? I mean, I've always loved Halloween, but I feel like when you get to a certain point with Halloween, it's samey, isn't it? But with Nightmare on Elm Street, I feel like even the bad ones seem to introduce something that's interesting or memorable.
They've got some imagination about them, and I think conceptually, it's one of the strongest long-term horror boogeymen, like with the most ongoing payback that you can possibly have. After a while, Michael Myers just gets big incel energy. Goes around stabbing people for a
God's sake.
And it does cover Freddy versus Jason as well. So it covers everything up to the I don't know if have you guys seen it?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think there's a book version as well, which I have somewhere, like a write-up.
Is there?
Yeah. You know how there's a Crystal Lake Memories, isn't there? Is it Camp Crystal Lake Memories?
Yes.
The Friday the 13th one. They've done the same. So I suppose, I think it's nice just to flick through and enjoy.
Like Liam, I could tell from Ben's expression when you said there was a book. There'll be a story on Ben's socials any day now where he's like got a copy of this book. He's Googling it right now.
The copy that I've got is the cover is shredded, and then it's like Freddy's sweatshirt peeking through the claw marks. Wow. It's really cool. It's awesome. Amazing. I can see his screen changing, so he is looking at it right now. It's on eBay. I see you. Your life changing.
One click order.
I've just had flashbacks from when I used to sit opposite my manager in work, and she used to see what I was Googling in my glasses. She'd be like,
"That's next level. That's incredible."
I know. She'd be like, "Oh, Ben, are you just on Google at the moment?" I'd be like, "Oh yeah, I'm just on Google." Well, what are you doing? Oh, literally. Don't do that.
Doing as much work as you, my manager, because you are looking at me instead of your work.
Yeah, right back at you.
And actually, you looking at me makes me uncomfortable. So if we want to take this to HR, or we can both just walk away.
Yeah, that should have been your answer. I'm just on the HR page looking at how I raise a grievance.
I'm just Googling, my boss keeps staring at me at work.
It was years ago, so I had no comeback at all. I probably went, "Oh, nothing. Oh, I'm sorry. Please leave me alone. Don't fire me." And the only other things I've seen this week are, so I saw Thor: Love and Thunder. Had a little cinema trip for that. I did like it, but I don't think it's a patch on Ragnarok.
Agree. Yeah.
And you've seen it too?
Yeah, I saw it on Friday. It's I think it goes more funny than it does anything else.
Yeah,
maybe
it's very
bit
funny.
Too hard.
And I feel like sometimes it leans into things where you think it's going to commit to, you know, one figure or another, and it never quite does. It always kind of, I don't know. It reminded me of a bit of like the latest Guardians film, Guardians of the Galaxy 2, where it was a bit, you know, kind of, yeah, I know. I mean, it was all right. And what's her name? Jane Foster, Natalie Portman, her biceps. Never thought I'd be interested in Natalie Portman's biceps, but I'm definitely a fan. I'm definitely a fan. And what else I've been watching? So I've also been watching series 3 of The Boys, which is, I think I'm on to. I'm just about to start watching. The next episode coming up is Herogasm, which is the big superhero orgy episode, which of course was a big thing in the comics as well. The only thing I can really say about it, other than it's amazing, I really enjoy it and I love everything it says, is Homelander probably got to be one of the best, like, because one of the best villains in TV, because and it also puts you to a point where you're like, if that villain is killed or written out in some way, where does it go from there? Because it's all sort of built around him in such a way.
I like The Boys a lot. So I'm a big comic book fan, and I've read the comic books, which I never enjoyed the comic books. So when the TV show was coming out, I was like, because the comic books are literally like those people who describe those kind of horror films, like, oh, go watch Serbian film. It's like the comic books are like for those kind of people usually. Well, it's no offense if anyone's a fan, but they're not my cup of tea. So when it came out, I was like, no. But then I caught the first episode and I was like, actually, this is a lot of fun. And I've really enjoyed what they've done with it. I like the real world parallels they're bringing into it to update it. Like the scenes where like someone's giving out a Pepsi.
Yes.
And then the Imagine like bit is just brilliant. And I think they've got some amazing like performers in there as well. Like everybody's acting their arse off in this film. TV show.
It's been cast really well, I think, these characters. I mean, I've read some of the comics, not all of it, but in terms of casting, they've done really well.
Apart from, it took me until the second season to realize that Billy was supposed to be British in the show. I thought, they've made him Australian. That works. And then it wasn't until you meet his like mum.
Can you not?
Like, all right, governor, and you're like, oh.
But the things he says all the time, it's like, fucking, this is naff. What do you naff off? But obviously, slightly
There's
Australian.
At one point when he's like, oh, that's bullocks, that is. And I'm like, that's what? Excuse me?
It's bullocks. That's bullocks, that is. Yeah. It is great. And it just does get better. I was unsure with the first maybe half of season 1. I was a bit like, I'm not sure about this, but then it just really comes into its own. And yeah, the real world parallels are really interesting. Like there's some stuff in this season about like police brutality, and the way it's kind of handled is like, sure, it's over the top and ridiculous and almost veers into like parody at times, but it doesn't feel like you watch it. Because I told somebody to watch it and they were like, oh, it reminds me of like Scary Movie and Disaster Movie. I'm like, no, not at all, not even slightly.
I would not be mad.
Or Josh.
What was that?
There's not Drake or Josh in this. Come on.
I would very much like to see Brenda appear in The Boys, though. Very much so.
You know how you asked what we'd seen this week? I have no qualms in saying I watched Scary Movie 4 the other night. So it wasn't even one of the best ones.
Not mad about it.
When I tell you, I laughed way too much.
Isn't 4 the one where they rip on the village?
Yeah.
It's just like, I want him to put his thing picture not be mentioned in my... Yeah, incredible.
You can watch if you like.
I don't give a shit.
I think Scary Movie the only of those films that we can get away with saying we enjoy, right? All the others, epic movie, disaster movie. What?
Oh, not another teen movie. I know that's not.
Oh yeah, Chris Evans. Chris Evans in that, isn't he?
Perfect movie.
Good times. Yeah. Okay. So that is that.
The Burning.
Apart from that, The Burning, which is a 1981 American slasher film directed by Tony Maylam, starring Brian Matthews, Leah Ayres, Brian Backer, Larry Joshua and Lou David. The plot follows a summer camp caretaker who is horribly burnt from a prank gone terribly wrong, where he seeks vengeance at a nearby summer camp years later. What was the prank? Look at this horrible skull. Aren't you scared?
That was really scary.
Let's terrify that. Like, you feel like as they're talking about it in the beginning, those cheeky boys having a little whisper about their plan. Oh, it's going to get, what's his name? Cropper or like
Cropsy.
Cropsy.
Yeah.
His name was Roy Cropper.
It's just one Cropper.
Let's get
Ayla.
Let's get Cropsy good and proper by giving him something that would scare anyone half to death. By putting like a desiccated skull in his bed and then banging on the window to wake him up. However, what those fools have failed to, they haven't done a proper health and safety check.
No, the risk assessment.
They had not risk assessed to understand that he would be sleeping in whiskey-soaked clothes and bed sheets.
And also be a gasoline can right
literally,
next to the fire.
After a hard day's work of caretaking, it's time to retire to bed in my cabin full of petrol cans.
So on IMDb, this film has got 6.3. On Rotten Tomatoes, 80% critic score. That is high. 60% audience score. 3.3 on Letterboxd, and we've got some choice reviews on Letterboxd. Savage says, "See what happens when you play pranks on people? You get murdered, and rightfully so." 4 stars. More Badass says, "The Burning is the best Friday the 13th." 4 stars. Joshua says, "Total slasher garbage, but hilarious and packed full of incredible Tom Savini gore effects." 4.5 stars. That's a lot, isn't it? And Kimberly says, "Fun, but an unprecedented level of rapey." 3.5 stars.
Oh my goodness.
I think that one nails it on the head, to be fair.
Yeah. Incredibly rapey. Has everybody seen this before? Is this a first time watch?
I'd seen this before. I have the Shout Scream Factory Blu-ray release. I think when it got restored like a few years back. I'd always seen like the artwork and been really intrigued, and obviously knew Tom Savini was involved, so thought I'd give it a go. It was not how I remembered it being, because I'm sure the first time I watched it, I was like, wow, this is incredible. And then I watched it this time and was like, okay, this is problematic. So that just shows you like what a few years can do, I suppose.
Things are different.
Yeah.
There we go.
I caught it on, I only caught a tiny section of it on the In Search of Darkness documentary, and I have wanted to watch it, so I was glad. I've watched it now. So you know what? I probably would watch it again, but I'd probably only watch like the last half an hour again.
Yeah. This is the first time I've seen it, but I almost feel like there's definitely a part in the final act where it drags a little bit when what's his face is running around, and you kind of think,
it's just little search for them. Oh well, better go to this copper mine for no reason.
I mean, just the amount of tetanus you're getting just from opening the door is probably enough to just go, no, I'm out. But hey ho, we're in a horror movie, so
there we go.
Yeah,
so the cast, you've got Brian Matthews plays Todd, who's like one of the camp counselors or one of the camp elders who looks after all the kids. Also, what's interesting is that like most of this camp are actually children. Obviously, there are some older kids as well. But obviously, in slashers like this, usually it's like 30-year-old people playing 18-year-olds and stuff. So it's interesting. That adds a whole different level to it as well, doesn't it? Adds a whole different level of fear as well. And it's not afraid to butcher these children.
That's why I liked it.
Yeah. Liam hates children.
But I love a film that's not afraid to kill a child, honestly. I just like it because it's just like, oh, what else are we going to do?
Yeah. How edgy of you, Liam. How edgy.
Oh, are you some kind of edgelord as well?
We're gonna put maggots on a Hitler baby.
And then that baby gets got by the blob.
Yeah, so and then there's Leah Ayres plays Michelle. I guess she's the other sort of camp counselor, and then there's just like a load of kids, and obviously one recognized face is Jason Alexander, famous from Seinfeld, playing Dave. I can't see him as anything other than a 40-year-old bloke, though. I don't look at him and go,
yeah.
Kid,
well, I didn't realize that that's who that was, but then obviously googling it, I was like, oh god, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, I didn't find him that unattractive. This film,
Okay,
which was odd.
I kind of like how he still talks the same as a 40-year-old man as he did when he was a teenager.
Yeah, I'd like to think that the kids were a lot older, I'm gonna say, than they actually were on this.
So he's
gonna point that out. Well, yeah.
So he's 62 now. So when this came out, he would have been like what, 20?
Yeah, okay, so we're fine.
That's all good.
I'm not grossed out that you fancied him because of the age. I'm just grossed out that you fancied him. Like,
why?
All I remember is him from Shallow Hal when he's got a tail.
Yeah, that's
this is
what
it. Like I didn't see
that's
anything past that. I was just kind of watching this film, and then I realized, and then yeah, maybe my feelings changed.
Yeah.
You can edit that out.
Absolutely not. We're leading with that. That's gonna be
editing's for cowards.
Sweet.
Edited is for cowards. So, and there's obviously Cropsy is who said that Cropsy sounds like a rabbit's
me. It's just it's
Cropsy.
Like Flopsy, Mopsy, and Cottontail.
Oh, hello, it's Cropsy, is it? Oh, yes. What's kind of interesting though is that you don't see. There's no killer reveal at any point, really. It's kind of like.
Well, you know it's him from the very beginning, right? Because
well, of course, but you
like him because he'll tell you off at the thing. He's a cantankerous old caretaker who has an alcohol problem, so they accidentally, fair enough, burn him to death. Because they were like, oh, this is gonna be a good prank. This is the thing that got me though. Afterwards, the scene that you get that follows it, so he gets burned up and falls in the water. The kids don't do anything, and then it goes.
They just go, oh dear, and then walk away.
You've got to get him out of there.
It really reminded me of a scene from like Wet Hot American Summer. Like it felt like that level of parody. They were just like, oh no.
Oh dear.
What follows next is a scene in the hospital where a doctor. There are two doctors meeting each other, weird. And the one guy says to the other, "Oh hey, enjoying your new job?" "Oh yeah, I am enjoying it, but well, you fucking won't." Wrongo, do not enjoy your new job. I've been working here for ages, and it's bullshit. Actually, come and look here behind like about 50 curtains. He like opens a curtain, opens a door, opens another set of curtains, and goes, "Most fucked up burn man you've ever seen in here." And then obviously this man's ears haven't been burned. He can hear.
While he's awake.
Yeah, he says, "Come and look at." I think he even says, "Come and look at this horrible freak," or something along those lines.
Honestly, this guy, I think he's written it. He calls him a fucking Big Mac.
He does. He does. I wrote this down as well. He literally, burnt man cooked. He's so overdone. He's like an overcooked Big Mac.
Wow,
what a comparison.
Bear in mind, he was just right now. I'm going to go round. Then, if I see anyone with a terrible sunburn right in now in this,
look at that Big Mac.
Look at your fucking Big Mac, mate.
Also, maybe Cropsy was just getting over the trauma of being burnt to nearly alive, and then he's just going, "Oh, I'll be able to leave the hospital soon and I have to start my new life." And then he just hears this doctor slagging him off, just saying, honestly, "Look at the state of him." And also, he says to this guy, "Oh, you want to be a doctor, do you?" He's not in there just like. He's like a 50-year-old man. He's not like a work experience going, "Oh, you want to be a doctor, do you? Come and have a look at this and you'll run away." No, he's obviously been a doctor. Weird. What a strange
scene. Before you're allowed to come and work at the hospital. It's like, oh, come and try your hand at it, learn on the job. But then we get a lovely 5 years later, and then we see a lovely montage of all the advice he's had. It's like, "I'm afraid the skin grafts haven't taken. You've got to let go of the hate in your heart. I know you must resent those kids, but no consequences from
literally getting abused by the hospital staff, but just let it go."
Just echo around his mind like fucking Big.
You gotta let go of that hate in your heart. You gotta let go of that hate in your heart, you horrible, disgusting freak.
What would have been better if like the montage and he feels like he's like. I would have much preferred it if like he felt like life can go on. I would have liked like some product placement in there and somebody to have walked past with a McDonald's bag.
Oh.
And that's been the thing where he was like, Big Mac, Big Mac,
Ding, ding,
Big
ding,
Mac,
ding,
Big
ding.
Mac.
Sleeper agent just woken up.
That's what sets him off, because at first he might just think, you know what, I've been in hospital for a long time. I'm terribly burned up. Maybe these choices are your own, Cropsey. Maybe you're just going to go and see a sex worker because, let's face it, dating in the 1980s when you've got a burned up horrible face like Nemesis is going to be real hard. So maybe sex workers are the most readily available option for you. Maybe that date was going really well when he was walking around dressed like Dick Tracy. But
why did he? What was he doing?
Maybe that's it. He just
hat and coat, and they're just standing in the shadows for the whole.
Yeah, they've obviously arranged the transaction. Either that or his mutant power having been burnt is that he's almost entirely invisible in the shadows, as this rest of this film would go to show. Maybe that interaction with that sex worker was going real well, but then her neighbor, when she goes to the apartment, was just walked past him on the stairs with a Big Mac, and that's what set him up.
I do love the fact that he leaves the hospital and the first thing he wants to do is go and get laid. Like 5 years of recovery, and then he's like, "That's it. I'm going to go."
5 years of blue balls. The second I got out of here, the second.
Maybe that was his plan the night before. He was like, "Oh, off to see my girl. Off to see my girlfriend tomorrow. Now that camp's over, just have a nice night's sleep in my whiskey-soaked sheets." Oh no!
Oh no! Not again.
Will say that sex worker is a bit of an icon though. Like, she was camp as anything. Just the way she was like, "You coming up?" She might as well have just. Are
you coming up? Because I'm going in.
She was incredible. She was amazing.
The second she sees his face.
Oh God! And it's dark as well, so I don't know how she's seeing it, but then she's like, "Oh God!"
Super contradictory, because he walks in and turns the light off. She goes, "Oh, like the lights off, eh?" Switches on a different light.
She's not very good. Well. She's not very good. Oh dear.
Neither's his killing plan though, because at first he goes for a classic strangle, but then he's like, scissors.
I'm assuming it's his first. It's got to be his first murder, don't it? So he's probably caught in two minds how he's going to do it. Strangle, scissors, get through the window.
Yeah,
it's a bit of a hodgepodge, isn't it?
That window, it was breaking. It took so long to break, but you just watching it splinter, and it was like he was really struggling to get her through there as well. It was like it was in slow-mo.
Well, I thought she was going to fully go through, and I was a bit disappointed that all she did was kind of awkwardly lean through it and go, "Oh no!" And then yeah, that's it, done. Poor woman.
And then we go to a different. So it's a different camp from what was at the start of the. So it was Camp Stonewater, and the camp at the start of the other movie was Camp Blackfoot.
We'll go back. It's nearby.
It's nearby. Okay. So we're introduced to everybody at the camp. Everyone's horny. Everyone's
unlikable.
Yeah,
pretty much unlikable, and
so unfortunate for the kids living in this era that they lived, I imagine, the year before bras were invented for any sport.
Yeah.
I will say the first bit we went to this camp made me feel extremely uncomfortable. That was a close-up, and it's probably the Weinstein of it all, but a close-up of an underage arse in some underwear, and I was like, oh, I was sitting here feeling so uncomfy.
It's a very seedy film, isn't it?
Yeah. Every girl
underage ass count
is like, it's just like everyone's in the loosest fitting, most see-through material, least appropriate sports kits ever.
Yeah. I've also got to give a shout out to, I think the character's Tiger, her hair, which basically looks like a UFO that's just on her head. Like, I expected her just to go at any minute and just get, I don't know, abducted somewhere, but Jesus Christ.
To be honest, we've touched on some of the crimes already, but to be fair, the biggest crime of all of this film is you have a character called Tiger that you do very little with.
Yeah. Apart from just have the most awful bowl cut.
Awful bowl cut. And I assume Her name is because she has a T-shirt with a tiger on it.
That's how you get nicknames.
She fucking loves that tiger T-shirt. You couldn't take it off her.
Her wardrobe's just like Charlie Brown, just literally wall-to-wall tiger T-shirts. And her dad's named Tony.
So there's like a fake out potential kill with her. She's looking for the ball in the woods. It's gone proper far into the woods, isn't it? Jesus Christ.
Oh god,
and Crops do we see anything of Cropsy? Are we led to believe that he's just milling about there?
I reckon it's Cropsy, but he has got too much respect for the sport of softball. And he thinks, well, if the ball is in, she's about to get her. The ball's in place. She's found it. I would disrupt the game if I killed her now.
Who am I to get in the way of America's pastime? Yeah.
It's true. Not good one, Cropsy. When did he upgrade from scissors to the garden shears? Well, there's a story, isn't there, saying he always had the shears, so he obviously loves.
Maybe he popped back to his cabin in the plant thing and did it, or maybe from killing the sex worker, he put all of his points into the pair of scissors he had, and he upgraded it.
Upgraded them straight away. Yeah.
Or maybe she was a part-time gardener, and the opportunity just presented itself.
Oh, she did live in an apartment, though. Would she have had any garden? Maybe there was a shared garden.
Roof garden. Roof garden. She's, I don't know.
Maybe she just does other people's gardens, not her own. She longs for a garden of her own. That's why she does other people's gardens.
Layers of this film, yeah.
She's a private gardener, a gardener for money.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm gonna just leave. Bye.
So the next morning, there's like again another fake out kill. You kind of think that perhaps there's a character called Sally. She's having a lovely shower. You think Cropsy's probably going to get her, because if you're having a shower on your own in an 80s horror movie, I mean that and having sex, those two things, you've got a target on your back essentially, haven't you? Quite literally. But no, it's not Cropsy. It's the guy called Alfred who was trying to scare her, apparently. Oh, yeah, great excuse, isn't it? Yeah, what are you doing watching her in the shower? Just trying to scare her.
Oh, that's fine.
No one believes you.
You did, Alfred. You did.
Alfred, though, like this is it, we go back and forth on who is the real villain of this piece. I think Alfred is the Harvey
screenwriter.
He's the insert character of himself.
Absolutely. I mean, that whole scene, I didn't understand the necessity of the camera starting as a close-up and then panning down to show her nipples and then panning back up again for the end of the shot. I was like, I don't get what this is achieving, but
I will say Sally's my favorite character in this film, which was a hard thing to happen because I disliked everyone, and purely just for one line that comes up later. She's an icon just for that scene. But yeah.
So Alfred tries to scare her. Todd gives him the ushering of another counselor actually tells him off, and Alfred goes, "Oh, it's because I've got no friends here." He goes on to be shown that he has probably about 4 really good friends.
More friends than I have.
I've become a peeping Tom because I've got no friends. Oh, boo-hoo.
Who's the guy that's his bully though? The 30-year-old man. His name
is it Eddie?
No, I'm going to call him what's his actual? It's got like a second name that everyone refers to him by. It's like Guttering or something like that, but it isn't.
What do you mean?
Guttering.
Oh no, Glazer. It's Glazer. I love that. It's another service that you could get. Fascias, guttering, glazing, double glazing.
Eddie's guttering and glazing. We call him a bully character, but is he perfectly within his rights to give Alfred a bit of shit for spying on his?
I think everybody in this film could do with a mild dose at least of bullying. Like if there's ever a film to campaign to bring black bullying, it would be this.
A mild dose of bullying. I prescribe a mild dose of bullying, I'm afraid. Get out there.
Glazer uses he's the king of beat you up metaphors. He's like, listen, Alfred, I'm gonna punch your chips, mate. I'm gonna pound you to custard. You're gonna be.
The fact he tells him to go and then grabs his shirt and pulls him in, and I'm like, he's trying to go.
He's the king of a stern point. No one has pointed that sternly until Ghost Rider would come out 20 years later. Glazer Glazer does that, and then Councillor Todd comes down, and then, as a professional counsellor, then threatens Glazer in the same way.
In the exact same way.
If you lay a finger on him, I'll lay all these fingers on you in a fist, and I'll punch your face in.
Got your note here, Glazer. What does that say? I owe you one bunch of fives, and then he looks up, punches. But don't worry, everyone, because they're coming up quite soon to finish off camp. Is a lovely little sleepaway for 3 days where everyone's going to pair up and go on canoes, and they're going to have a little thing. And some of the girls are chatting about options. They're talking about Glazer. Said, "Oh, what would you? All those muscles on top of you be horrid."
The orange, like you're on top of you and you can't move. That sounds great. Yeah, that'd be lovely.
This is the biggest use of the character Tiger. She's just there punching darts, making fun of everyone.
Punching. Oh yeah, Tiger. She was just like that. That was strange, wasn't it? Just seeing that, she was laughing, and then
little kid punching a few darts like Doc Cotton and saying,
yes,
those horrible muscles on top of you."
I got to open the laundrette in a minute.
Oh, Mr. Papadopoulos won't like that at all.
And then obviously prepubescent horniness. They go and get a Playboy and a Hustler, and I think the Playboy reader looks down upon Hustlers as if it's like not good enough.
A step down, yeah.
Glazer's like, you bloody wimps reading those magazines.
Hustler. And that is when Jason Alexander as Dave has a line where he says, "Thank God for her mum and dad," or something like that, or praise her mum and dad. And then we get a weird discussion about non-lubricated condoms.
Yeah, because he's bought him non-lubricated. He's like, "How dare you?"
It's a lot. It's a lot.
I am paying for this.
Is that an option?
Yeah, just extra dry, in fact.
Dry for her pleasure.
Yeah, I'd like to make this coercive sex that I'm going for as unpleasant for all parties. And we have a little. This is where Alfred also turns out that I've got no mates. Here he is with all his mates. He's got what's George Costanza's name in this? Like Jason or Billy?
No.
There's
Woodstock.
Billy, there's Woodstock, and
Woodstock,
then, and then there's
Fisher
Fish.
Stevens. So I know we mentioned this before the recording, but Woodstock is played by Fisher Stevens, who famously was in the movie Short Circuit, playing Ben Jabatuya, an Indian professor, and Fisher Stevens isn't Indian. So a little bit of race.
I just realised I've not seen Short Circuit since I was a child.
Yeah.
So the
Johnny,
fact
it's
Johnny
probably going to be
Five is
rewritten
alive.
now.
Yeah, I never realised that there was somebody in blackface.
Yeah.
Maybe that's
this is the thing.
That's childhood naivety. It must be.
Of course, 100%. Because why would you? Why would you know what that was?
Yeah.
Exactly. That is definitely something that's come up in the future.
Are you looking at pictures of it? I've just seen your face drop.
but without knowing who he is, looking at photos, I'm like, oh, okay. But then knowing that it's that kid, oh,
I know.
Wow.
There's just layer upon layer of problems with this film.
I reckon
he's had a problematic career, hasn't he? He's been like Weinstein film, brown face.
Super Mario Brothers.
Super Mario Brothers.
It's no coming back from that.
Wow.
So there's also a scene. Well, during this scene is when Alfred sees a face at the window. Sees a horrible, disgusting, burnt face,
like a Big Mac.
I mean, I completely understand why this guy is killing people, because I think if people were reacting to me in that way, I'd probably do the same. So,
yeah. To be fair, as well, mostly when people are offending you in this way, this is a Daniel Sloss bit. He says it's when people are saying that you are something you're not. And this guy, looking at him here, he's much more like a chicken nugget than
a chicken tender. He's a walking chicken tender.
It's those nostrils. It's the nostrils I can't get over. Like, things would be flying up in them constantly. Wasps, they'd be getting stuck in there. Those nostrils are not practical whatsoever.
So he wears a big long brimmed hat, isn't it? Mostly when he's in disguise.
Stop the wasps. Yeah.
That really reminds me of the fire stunt at the beginning of this film. Did he put a hat on to go out and burn alive in?
I think he put a full paintball visor on before he went outside. He had a helmet, Leah.
So an IMDb goose. Yeah, it's a bike helmet that the stuntman has on.
Oh, I thought he was wearing a hat.
Yeah, it says on the classic IMDb goose. You may notice, eagle-eyed fans may notice that you can see him wearing a crash helmet while he's doing a.
Is it legit a crash helmet?
Yeah,
it is.
The stuntman wearing a crash helmet.
Jesus Christ! I mean, at least he's safe. Whoever did it, good job.
Yeah, they looked at this film and thought, "I'm not getting my face actually burned up for the burning."
No, fair enough. They'd be laughed at and called a Big Mac. So
yeah, I've seen what happens to someone that gets burned. I'm taking no precautions.
I've seen this script.
Yeah, people will be saying, "You've got to let the hate go in your heart." Like, shan't let it go.
I shan't let it go.
So they go. They finished looking at the horrible face. No one believes. No one believes Alfred. All of the no friends that he's got. All 5 of them. Even Glazer is sort of their friend because they shoot him in the bum when he's at the.
What was that? Was it like a water pistol? Like that was.
Did they call it a spud gun? I don't know if it was
a potato gun.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it was that.
A tiny little minuscule bit of potato fired directly at his arse.
Across 200 yards across
200 yards.
It was impressive, whatever it was.
It was.
And just to add insult to injury, those responsible for that also get their asses out in a childish.
Yeah, mate. Look at what a bum that hasn't just been shot looks like.
Yeah. I'm talking about underage asses in this film. That's another 3 to add to the tally.
Yeah, there's a lot going on.
God damn it, Weinstein.
Yeah. So they have a chat. The camp counselor comes out and goes, "Yeah, off on your trip tomorrow. Remember, you're a long way from home." Ominously. One of the boys goes, "Oh, have you got my vitamin E?" It's at it's at the cabin. He goes to get it back for the purposes of there being a fake out that it's not.
There's so many fake outs in this film.
All the other things they've done as well. Todd, the camp counselor, comes back and he goes, "Oh, I was worried about you, so I've come back. Yeah, the other guy said you weren't very well. You're poorly." And he goes, "No, I've just come to get my vitamins." And he goes, "Can't stand it with their tricks anymore. I'm having them." And he goes and tells them off because I'm sick of you telling a slight mistruth. He's obviously let them be shot in the ass. God.
I mean, it's probably the most honest thing he's done all film, and he's getting thrown out of camp for it. Poor guy.
It's like, yep, walking on people in the showers, threaten to beat people up, shoot a guy, tell a slight fib for you tell the truth about where he's gone, but slightly exaggerate the reason he's left. He's like, "See you, Greg.
How dare you? You make me sick."
Yeah. Disgraceful. I've seen your future career, and you are disgusting. Are you proud of yourself, Johnny Five? So, so the next day is the canoe trip, right?
Off they go on the canoe trip. This is nice. This is Race for Your Life, Charlie Brown. They're having a great time.
What's with the soundtrack? The music is fantastic.
The music in this is amazing. All the synths.
I'm gonna have to put an audio clip of that in around about this point because it is fantastic.
Absolute bonanza. And they're having a good time. They're doing some splashing.
Canoeing is hard work, but they're going for it.
Living the dream.
Canoeing is
the dream.
Canoeing is good fun now. Apparently, when you're canoeing for happy reasons, you can canoe all day. no bones about it. When you're canoeing to escape from a murderer, you have to complain about how tired it makes you. Fucking hell, I wish I was just dead. I wish the guy was
Why can't I be dead?
I've been canoeing for 20 minutes now, please.
So they're going to a place called Devil's Creek, but it's not like an island, is it? It's just like down the river some way. Because I think they say at one point we could walk home, but they're like, no, the forest is way too dense for that. Oh yeah, okay. Oh no. That's convenient.
So yeah, they go to this place where they're camping, and they do lovely little campfire story, don't they? Where they tell the story of old Cropsey. In poor taste, really, what we find out later.
As soon as Todd starts saying, I've got a story for you. It's about the legend of Cropsey. You'd be like, oh, not interested. Anything else? Have you got anything else? Any other ghost story? Who's Cropsey? Sounds like a twat.
That's great, but have you heard something else? Have you guys actually watched the documentary on Cropsey at all? Because it is like a real urban legend.
There's a real Cropsey?
What? Yeah. So the whole thing, even this, is based on a New York urban legend of like this weird guy that kidnapped kids, and I think it was linked to a serial killer. But
you're talking about Harvey Weinstein again.
I think this is where Harvey Weinstein got his inspiration, because
his actual hero.
Yeah, it is concerning. I mean, the layers, but 100%. This was like a real thing. I don't think he got burned and called a Big Mac, but there was some guy like living in ruins, and it was creepy.
Oh, wow.
But the documentary is great. I definitely advise checking that out. It's good. It's a lot better than this film.
I didn't realize it was based on not true story. I didn't realize it was based on anything. God.
No, because
I think this is what happens when you get people with real credentials in. You get some actual insight here. Thank goodness. Thank God for you, Liam.
You're welcome. I think that honestly is the strongest part of the film, is like the urban legend side of it. Like, I liked the campfire side, story.
This is the coolest bit. I really like this
for sure.
Because I like the telling of it. I like the last bit. Actual some really nice dramatic delivery. It's like, don't look, they'll see you. Don't fucking breathe. Here, don't move. Dead.
You're dead. And also, who is it with the scary mask on? I mean, it got me a little bit, and I'm not even there. But I was like, fucking hell,
it's just when that was a leather glove appears.
I was gonna say that was a good mask for 81. Like I didn't even have when I was a bin bag witch for Halloween. I had this like plastic.
That was last year
with the plastic glow in the dark's fingers.
Yeah. Oh, it was incredible.
It was a good mask. And is this other sort of consent optional fella that comes over, isn't it? It's Eddie.
Eddie. Yes,
he's annoying. I mean, he's annoying for more than one reason.
Arsehole I think I've ever seen in one of these films. He's the friggin' worst.
Yeah, he's a douchebag, and also doesn't seem like a real person. He's like a caricature of a douchebag. Hey, what you saying? Some kind of wise guy? Hey, I'm gonna go for a skinny dip with you, and
Eddie was where I drew parallels between this and this film. Is kind of the mirror universe version of other favorite 80s slasher, Sleepaway Camp. And Eddie feels like he is a person that could exist in both universes. Eddie's the character that goes, "Hey Angela, why are you so fucked up?" That's who Eddie is.
You fuck. I love Sleepaway Camp so much.
I love the fact that people at your house have just heard you shout "you fuck" with no context. So is the podcast going that badly?
I love it. This film could have done with a little bit more Sleepaway Camp. It could have done with some no, it couldn't because of how young they were. I was going to say with some ultra short crop tops, but never mind. That's no.
Wow,
do you think Harvey Weinstein has written this scene with Eddie as like the protagonist? I reckon in his mind, he's
this is like a real identity situation. I feel like he is. Part of his personality is Eddie. Another part is, I was calling it Graham, Alfred. All these really region
Graham.
Era-appropriate names.
Graham, little baby Graham. Just been born. He's beautiful.
Yeah. So yes, part of him is Alfred. Part of him though is definitely Eddie. And Eddie goes. It's campfire time. They've decided to go off for a lovely swim.
Which it kind of starts, I'm sure it looks like it's daylight, and then it's moonlight, and then it's daylight again. Very confusing, likewise.
I read a little bit. Apparently, all of the night things, apart from the campfire stuff, campfire was actually shot at night, but everything else was filmed during the day.
It makes sense.
Got you.
Yeah.
Okay.
That explains it then. Oh dear.
They go for a swim, and Karen, the girl he's trying that likes him, she's conflicted.
Karen
is scared of him, but likes
Karen who
him.
keeps saying no. Yeah.
Very regularly.
If only you could not. I like you. I like everything about you. You've got a really nice personality. If only you could stop being so rapey, then I think we'd get on.
And
but,
then
it's getting in the way of it.
Then he pulls a blind and goes, "I'll tell you what then. I'm actually just going to go for a swim for the health and exercise purposes of it. I'm just going to go for a naked swim here in this pool. You can do what you like. No pressure at all. I can take it or leave it. I'm just going to go for a swim though. All right?" She's all right. I'll have a. Then she shouts after him, "You promise?" I mean, technically, he doesn't say what he promises, so maybe in a court of law he'd weasel out of
it. Too real.
I just said I promise. I didn't say what I was promising. So she goes out. He comes on a bit strong, and she reaffirms that no and gets out. And he angrily swims about naked on his own.
Gives him a slap. She gives him a slap.
Yeah.
I just don't think it makes the most narrative sense for her to have got naked and gone in with him anyway. It was very, very silly. And it was very hard to watch that whole scene without thinking about the very real life stuff that goes on with went on with Harvey Weinstein, like the hotel rooms and everything. It all felt very eerily similar to allegations that were made. So, yeah.
It was very,
creepy.
very
Creepy.
As soon as that name came up, and then I can't imagine watching this before all these things. Maybe if you'd watched this 20 years ago, you'd have a very different view of it.
Well, I mean, the last time I watched it, I was a lot younger. I would have been a teenager when I watched this. And obviously that was pre all of this happening, the Me Too movement, everything happening. And I'm not saying that I probably didn't look at it and think, oh God, this is just I feel like these are the worst qualities of horror films sometimes, where they lean into this side of just being I don't know, schlocky and gross. But
schlocky and exploitative in a way, isn't it? And they are the things that don't age greatly, but
it's such a fine, a strange thing though, because we were talking about this with Piranha last week. I think at face value, incredibly exploitative and had lots of the same things as this, but tonally, and I know it's made, that's a film made 20 plus years later, but at the same time, that was done with a genuine poking fun at it, I feel. Whereas this, and I know it, different eras entirely, but with this one, especially knowing the allegations and the things that were then charged and convicted of in court that came out after this film, a personality type that was writing these things down on paper and probably viewed it very differently to the way we're this is just how people are, probably thinking as they wrote it.
It's very, very weird. And then I mean, I do think that it's one of the most brutal deaths as well afterwards, what we're led into, obviously with her exiting the lake and having to find her clothes and then getting her throat slashed. It's like she's being punished almost for not giving him what he wants.
Almost the opposite of another horror film, right? Opposite of a Friday the 13th take, where people do something they go into a lake and have sex together and then get
it's I mean, I do think this film overall does kind of flip some conventions. I mean, we'll get to it, but the ending, we don't have a final girl in this film, but there's the ideas of stuff, the characters who survive aren't all the ones that even die. They're not necessarily deserving of it.
No,
if that makes sense. Morally, they're not.
Some of them are literally just children at camp,
exactly
wanting to canoe on this sick as fuck raft that
very bizarre, very bizarre.
Yeah, so it's almost like humiliating, this bit where she has to get up and sort of like go after her clothes. Not just humiliating in terms of the film, but also humiliating, like looking at thinking how this scene must have been made as well. Like it's not particularly, there's something that in bad taste about it. But yeah, so she obviously tracks down her clothes. She thinks that like a prank's been pulled on her or something, that someone's come and grabbed her clothes and scattered them around. But it's Cropsey with his shears and
big shears.
Is it just a throat slash? This one,
throat slash in the dark. We see Karen a bit later on towards the very end of the film. But she's just gone, and then we flash to the morning when Eddie is being woken up. I tell you what, step away from the realism for a moment and ruin our serious talk we were just having. No one sleeping outside is that hard to wake up.
Absolutely not.
Especially unless you've got so drunk that you passed out, and then it's a different matter. No one who is innocently sleeping at camp. I've been out camping and slept in a tent. The second the sun creeps over the horizon, it's like, well, I'm awake. Like, there's no way anyone sleeps in while camping, let alone sleeping outside, the sun blazing in your eyes. But yeah, everyone in this film is like, snooze, go back to
sleep, sleeping on the cold, hard ground.
Best night's sleep I've ever had.
They wake him up.
They quiz him because Karen's missing, and he's like, "Oh,
that rhymes. I like that." Sorry.
But he can only answer in the form of rhyme.
Yeah.
I didn't even notice for a second.
They quiz him because Karen's missing.
They quiz him because Karen's missing, and he's like, "Oh, I haven't done anything wrong. Don't accuse me of anything." He's really defensive already. But then all the canoes are missing as well, which, even though we know isn't what's happened, she hasn't just fucked off with the canoes. That would be an amazing power play, wouldn't it?
I do love how the whole camp just goes, why would she do this to us? Like,
It's like, but I hate how long we have to take of everybody explaining about how the canoes are missing. Like, a good 10 minutes of this film is just people talking about missing canoes.
Canoes are missing, yes, the canoes are missing. Like, it feels like quite a lot of this film, there are 2 or 3 characters that are separated and doing something else at any given time. And then everyone else is just, and the rest. Yeah. Because everyone else moves around in a little collection like Pikmin, just like whittering on about something and like all commenting on the fact that the canoes are missing. Later on, when the raft is coming back, everyone's gathered there going, "Cool, it looks like a raft." "The raft, you say?" "Yes, the raft that left earlier." "What's it doing back?" Like, literally, like the Greek chorus here, just going on. But yeah,
it's very weird.
Yeah, and then so they pretty much, their plan is to make a raft because they can't walk back because the woodland's too dense. It's too dense. You ever try to walk through a woodland that's too dense? Impossible, right?
But then where do they head while they're waiting? They all go in the woods.
Softballs everywhere, yeah.
Softballs everywhere. So yeah, they make a lovely raft, and they make some pretty convincing paddles as well, don't they?
The paddles that at first I was wondering what it was, because I thought they were they used like branches and stuff very well, but it looked like dog food to me, like dog bones, and I was like, well, how they got these from getting there?
You just popped to the pet store and made a raft.
How they last so long? Like, you put like a branch in there, start doing it for a few times, just disintegrate. But
this bit, this is the bit where I start enjoying the film a lot more, but it's also a bit that really confuses me, like the logistics of the scene.
Yeah.
Yes.
Confuses me.
It's true.
Yeah.
What were you standing on? Where did you come from? Were you just lying there waiting for them?
I mean, all they need to do at this point is just kick the frigging boat over and they're fine, and then just paddle in the other direction, because he'd now be burnt and drowning.
I'm assuming he is lying in the canoe, right? That's
how long has he been there for?
How long has he been there for?
How sad is that?
He's been looking over.
But what gets me as well is there's like a bit when he stabs the raft, doesn't look like the raft at all as well. It just looks like a bit of like plywood that's like on a deck somewhere. Like,
yeah. I watched some of the effects being made for this on YouTube, Tom Savini, and when he did some of the effects, they like turned the raft on its side and then had heads poking through with fake bodies, so it looked
I
like
definitely saw that bit when
Eddie's neck.
Eddie's neck. Yeah.
It's like ET, isn't it? At one point, it's like what's
I will say, just while we're on the, I will say though, because I didn't know that Tom Savini did the effects of this until I saw the effects. Like, there's just such a Savini student, but also reminds me of Brian Fuller. A quick tangent. Brian Fuller tweeted that seeing Tom Savini in the 80s in magazines made him gay.
I saw this, yeah.
Tom Savini made me gay, but I also. He didn't make me gay, but he definitely helped me realize some things. And From Dusk Till Dawn, when he's that character with like the dick gun, it made me realize a lot of things.
The mechanical packer gun.
I met him at a convention once. I didn't know he was there. I didn't mean to meet him. I was at a special effects table and he was there, and I just like literally turned to him and I was like, "Oh shit, it's you!" And I had to stop myself from being like, "I think like you're really really sexy."
Your robotic penis is one of my favorites.
Yeah,
he's got a whip as well, right?
I think that's what got Liam involved. To be honest, was the way.
I see.
But the
Savini effects are gorgeous. They're just there's such a, you can just tell.
So apparently he turned down Friday the 13th Part 2 to work on this.
I think
which
good.
is interesting.
I mean, I think he had. Because I don't know if we've maybe watched the same video, but I think, I don't know if this was with the release of the Blu-ray, there was a lot of like stuff focused on the effects, because I do think it is one of the strongest points of the movie.
Yeah.
And I think he said at the time it was like a really big deal for him. Like he got to like do everything. Like there was obviously fire, there was makeup effects, masks.
They threw 1.5 million at this film. I think I read this.
Jeez,
like 1.5 mil for a little horror film. Like.
Yeah, I mean, he'd be silly not to jump at the chance to do it.
And he directed the last scene, the ending of the film. He designed, directed everything because the writer and directors fell out.
Yeah, so they see you later.
They were, well, you can do
that explains it then.
I will say, for everything this film has going against it, there's a really beautiful shot after Cropsy's like butchered all these children of just that blood trickle.
Yeah,
going down the hand and watching it go into the, like, that was good. And then obviously we get that horrible fade to red effect that happens quite a few times in this goddamn film.
Right. Yeah. How do we end this? Red.
So when he leaps up out of the canoe, a few people just get like dashed into the water. You don't really see what happens with them, but some of the kilts obviously chops off Woodstock. Chops off his fingers into little hot dog sections.
That is brutal as well. Like,
I like the one where the person gets like the forehead slash. That was sick. I love that one.
I guess what's good about it is that like it's quite a unique sort of weapon for a killer to have in a slasher movie, isn't it? So there's lots of things that can be done with it. Standard like slashes, but also like chopping off of bits and things. But yeah, it is brutal. And again, they're just young kids, but Cropsy takes no prisoners.
Yeah. I mean, you mentioned.
They're poor against Cropsy. Yeah, they are. They're not ready for him at all. He's put everything else into stealth. So, especially with that sneak attack bonus, the kids are no match for him.
It's ridiculous. I do think that whole scene is especially brutal though. Like even seeing the blade, like, because obviously it would have been the real blade like hitting the wood and like bits of wood chipping off. Like, but then when you see the fake blade like interacting with them, you're like, shit, that's really going to hurt. That's going to be really painful.
Yeah.
So yeah, I thought it was quite visceral. I think the raft scene, I think, is like maybe what it's known for. I mean, it's the whole poster, isn't it? That silhouette of Cropsy against the sun with the shears and everything. It's pretty iconic. I will say that. I do like that.
It's effective, definitely.
Yeah.
And then we go back to the rest of everybody who's not dead.
The chorus on the shoreline.
The chorus on the shoreline. Is this a scene where like
interacting as a herd the whole time?
I feel like harmony should have been a thing. Like they should have been like, "Is this a raft?" They're just.
But is it so? I think before that happens, we get another sort of coercive sexual encounter with Glazer this time with his non-lubricated condoms. I'm assuming he took them from Dave.
Yeah, he wasn't going to pay for them. Yeah.
So yeah, he's being very pushy. But him and Sally, I guess is it the first time for both of them?
I don't know, but this is where Sally becomes an icon. This scene. Oh my god. Yeah, we get like quite a vocal sex scene. Like it's quite because I paused it to go do something, and then when I came back, I like unpaused the film, and it was pure just like moaning. But I just love when she's like, "That's all, that's it." I was like, "Yeah."
After all that, you're being ever so pushy, and then that's all you can give me.
No, it'll be ever so good, I promise. Because ever so good. Oh, okay.
Oh, go on then.
Here on the Wikipedia plot description, it's got a link to article about premature ejaculation. So if you've watched this movie and you were affected by any of the scenes in it, there we go. You can find something.
Unfortunately, all of his bravado.
Spinach is supposed to holistically be a holistic treatment for ED. So
Jesus Christ, Popeye and Olive are going all night there. If that's the case,
he stored it all in his arms.
That is absolutely vile. Never looking at that cartoon ever again.
No.
The same way.
Why is it squinting?
Despite being a muscle man, he's not got the same qualities as Popeye, as old Glazier. He's a 2-pump chump, is what Sally.
Sally's such an icon. Oh my god.
And he's like, to make up for it, I'll go get some matches to make a campfire. You'd enjoy that, wouldn't you? Yeah.
Wow, yeah.
Yeah, wow, great. Can't wait.
She's only disappointed for a little bit though. She's like, maybe you can have another crack at it if you want. Blazer.
I'll draw you
do you mean it? Do you mean it? Do you mean it? You'll stay?
He's the least secure muscle man.
He really is.
The tiny man syndrome.
Oh dear.
And again, Cropsey goes for the woman first.
Mm-hmm.
Steps out. This is quite effective, I think, because he steps out, like stands over her, and we get a shot like between his legs, where it's like her looking up at him.
I think we saw that a lot in the 80s, didn't we? Like, it makes me think of like Slumber Party Massacre and Driller Killer and all those sorts of things. It's like, yeah, cool. Let's off a woman again.
Yeah. And then she gets the shears in the chest. Is it the chest?
Yes, I think so. He snips
here.
a bit, doesn't he? And she's holding and
yeah. It's I don't know. Something about it as a weapon feels much more brutal than like a knife or a machete or something. There's something almost like quite. That sounds weird to describe it like this. Quite personal about getting right in there and sort of like chopping someone to death with a knife. It's like almost like one and done, or like.
Well, the thing is it's versatile. You can just stab someone, or if it's open, there's the added risk that if you hold it, you'll cut your hands. But then it can also be closed and cut your hands open. And
if you were going to have to have a garden implement murder weapon, what would you all choose?
Oh, I'd be a hoe. Oh no, sorry, you asked what?
No, I'd choose a rake, but purely for I don't know if anybody watched EastEnders. It's not the crowd that we're going for, but there was an episode of EastEnders where this lady fell and was pushed onto a rake.
Oh,
and it was in her throat, and then she the noise effect that they used was brilliant. It was like an apple.
EastEnders.
Yeah, this on EastEnders on primetime TV.
It sounds a bit savage for
so I'd use a rake, but also a rake could be really good. You just get multiple people with it. And and plus, if you don't get them, you can get it.
You could keep your distance as well.
But you could get your distance, but you could get the hair and drag them back with
them back. Or if towards the end, you as the killer are on the run, you could go around a corner and put it on the floor.
You're okay.
K.O.
Oh,
incredible.
So rake, that's going to be hard to top.
Yeah, but what about you guys?
People have said that before.
Stop. Liam is newly single, by the way, guys.
Wow.
I see. Well, like I don't know, maybe like secateurs are pretty. Is that how you say it? They're pretty brutal, aren't they? I'm always.
Would you dual wield secateurs?
Yeah, dual wield.
I'm not a garden person. What are they? What?
They're
just
small,
like
little
little shears,
yeah.
like mini shears,
okay.
Handheld shears.
little crab hands.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you could
Yeah. I
have
could
a whole
fuck
thing
some
going
people
on.
up with that. Yeah.
They
why not?
called him Secretary Man. Just no, I don't think that sounds very menacing, to be honest.
Not very good. What you saying, Andy?
Hosepipe? Hosepipe would be good. You could strangle people. You could drown them.
You could put it on that setting that really hurts. Just be a dick.
Oh yeah, well,
just get a jet washer. Yeah, I was gonna say pressure washer.
Jet washer. That's good. You'd have to be near a water. You'd have to be near a water and power supply. But apart from
a little bit restricting, but I reckon you could lose an eye if you aimed that at someone's eye.
Oh yeah, you blast someone in the eyes.
Jeez.
I think if I didn't have access to utilities, then spade probably. Bash them with the flat. Especially if you've got one of those serrated ones for getting through roots. Oh.
And then you can bury them afterwards. Like it's perfect.
Hide
the body.
Ideal.
You heard it here first.
Great answers.
That's what you do.
Yeah, and then Glazer comes back with his matches, and this is when Cropsey, superhuman strength as well, Cropsey lifts up Glazer with the this is quite a good effect because the shears like go through him and then he like jams him into the tree. Yeah, take that.
Like as he's also got superhuman hiding, because where was he hiding? Like,
oh my god, he's incredible. Yeah,
in the sleeping bag with her dead body.
It literally reminds me, like when I was watching it, really reminded me of like the Friday the 13th video game. Like all the things you can do as Jason. Like, oh god, he's stealthing. Yeah,
yeah.
Bloop, just appear.
Just like, yeah.
He's hiding in absolutely nothing. It's only when he like pulls out the sleeping bag that he's there.
The thing is that I bet what he does is he lays down and stays super still, and they're just like, oh, that's a Big Mac on the floor. I'm just gonna walk past that. How strange.
This Big Mac.
Yeah, we're not near a McDonald's. What's that doing here?
He just keeps
it gets everywhere.
Just keeps a gherkin in his pocket, and he's like, Big Mac.
He puts it on his one milky eye. It's just,
and then it completely blends in. Bearing in mind, this is already a film where it was earlier as a throwaway bit where Todd has done a great impression of a Metal Gear Solid guard. He was like, looks in like a cabin, like an empty cabin. He's like, what was that noise? And he's like,
you think that's what Cropsy's got? He's got the sort of a 100% version of the camouflage on. Staying completely still at that.
Yeah, staying completely still. Got a Soliton radar so they can see what the line of sight everyone has. And
perfect.
Yeah, he
so Todd witnesses these
Alfred,
the death.
The only person.
What did I say?
Todd. The only person
Alfred,
more stealthy than Cropsey is Alfred, who in the shot, as you see Glazer coming back to his like little love nest he's made in the woods, you see in shot Alfred like
isn't he visibly pleased when he
he looks like he's taken up. Yeah. He's like when enjoying this.
Yeah, when he when he blows his beans early, he's like,
wow, blows his beans.
Absolutely pathetic.
Oh my god!
You didn't eat your spinach. Yeah.
Well, he's eating spinach at the exact moment. So yeah, he goes and tells Todd, but Todd is just like, Alfred, you're an absolute drama queen. For God's sake, this has got to stop. But then what happens is Cropsey like pretty much immediately.
Yeah, they walk along. Todd then gets stealthed by Cropsey.
Yeah.
He somehow gets knocked out by a blade, which I didn't understand. He has a small nick to the temple, but then he's like, no, I'm asleep now.
It would have this comes up quite a bit, then it would have come sharp, wouldn't it? You'd be like, oh, you get surprised or something like that.
Yeah. I wouldn't just be like, okay, bye.
I guess he gets surprised because Alfred gets to shout Todd, so he probably looked around and then got bashed. Just a bit of whiplash. But Cropsey, despite the fact, spoilers for the end, I guess, Todd is his actual enemy, but he decides to chase Alfred anyway, leaving Todd to just be slightly injured.
I don't think, obviously, these kids are the worst we've established, but they've not really done anything directly to Cropsey other than like be in the vicinity of his old camp.
With the exception of Todd.
Todd is the guy. Like, just get rid of Todd, and then
maybe it's just
done.
like guilty by association. Anybody who's been near in the vicinity of Todd needs to die. Okay, and he wants to save Todd to the end.
You touch Todd. Snip, snip.
I saw you touch Todd. That's it. You're getting chopped. And then it's just like a weird kind of like chasey hidey sequence, isn't it? Now with Alfred,
really long one with him. Like,
it goes on forever.
Alfred's hanging around a castle, and there's a copper mine, and all these sets that have up until this point not been used. It's like a Resident Evil game where there's a lab all of a sudden.
Yeah, it's very odd. I didn't know whether or not the crumbled like ruins were supposed to be indicative of like the old camp in some way, but then it suddenly went into a coal mine, and then I was like, oh, okay, we're not anywhere related. This is
all
just
a coal mine. Have you ever had a mine? Have you ever had a mine cart creep up on you? Because that's exactly what happens. Just slowly rolling towards him. Oh shit!
And then in the next shot, it's at the top of the hill again. It's just like, okay, cool. Continuity, what?
Just before that happens, though, I think they find the mutilated bodies on the raft.
Yeah.
Like Michelle swims out to them. And this is when they're all on the shore just being annoying. But I think Dave even says, "Oh, what do you think's on the raft?" And he's like, "Well, I'm not in the water looking. What are you on about? Give me a break." Fucking hell.
Yeah,
to be fair,
he's really good. I like him in this. Like, he's my favorite character because I love how he still talks like a man in his like a middle-aged man in Seinfeld when he's a teenager. He's like, "Hey guys," but Michelle swims out. She sees that there's bodies over there. Todd gets to the top of a cliff at some point. He goes, "Wash out, bloody Cropsey's about." And
they just think it's a joke, don't they? They just think, "Oh no, we'll come back, pretending to be dead on the raft." What a great joke.
You'd still be angry because they fucked off a day ago. If they just floated a river and gone, "Oh, they're going to be mad that we haven't come back. Should we just pretend to be dead?" But they are all dead.
They are all dead. They've taken it one step too far.
All the other kids, so Dave, Tiger, all your other favourites that aren't dead. All the other named ones like Eddie and Fish got already in Woodstock. So Tiger and Dave.
Woodstock is in the water somehow, and like bobs back up, and
he has his Jaws moment, doesn't he? Where he's just like,
scientific phenomenon where dead bodies are attracted to living swimmers.
It's the way that he awkwardly just sinks out of shot as well. Like, he bobs up and he's like, "Okay, bye."
Now I resign myself to death.
Yeah.
So they've done that. The others all get on the raft and start rafting away, soon wishing they were dead. "Oh, I'm sick of paddling." The threat of a murder after you all is not enough to keep you paddling. Then he says, "Oh, don't complain.
Physical exercise. Oh, just kill me off." Needs same, but
they get back to camp. It must only be 10 minutes away because the chase with Alfred is still going on while they've rowed all the way back. The other counsellor, who I guess has just sat in an empty camp on his own while they've all been away, is like, "What are you doing?" She goes, "Where's the outboard? Where's the outboard boat?" And he's like, she doesn't open with "call the police" as a Cropsey.
That's a Cropsey. Again, concerned about his canoes. So then we have another prolonged conversation about canoes.
Yeah.
Well, where are my canoes?
Oh, yeah, it's the first thing he says, even though you can clearly see that everyone's distressed, covered in blood, looking like shit. "What's the bloody canoes?
Where's my canoes?" "Well, they got lost. All of them." "Well, one of them was." "Which one?"
Do you reckon the director just wanted to brag that they managed to get some canoes? Look at the budget we've got. We've got canoes.
Look at all these canoes. That's quite a lot of canoes, isn't it?
Friday the 13th only had one canoe at the end. We've got several.
Back in the 80s, canoe was like jet ski. There was just a brand that is then synonymous with the entire boat. So maybe
you can only call it canoe if it comes from the canoe region of
Otherwise it's just a high-sided kayak. So maybe that's part of the product placement, because you've got to say canoe 8 times or more in this film, otherwise you're not having them. So they eventually go, and then nice of the police to share their travel plans with them, because we cut to Michelle and the main counsellor going along. So, can't this boat go any faster? And said, well, maybe the police was there and they said they were going by helicopter. Nice. Where's the scene with that police? Hello, police? Yeah.
Also,
there's a Cropsey.
That boat was one of the loudest things I've ever heard in my life. It really shit me up. Like I didn't jump at once in this film until I heard that boat motor.
It does cut to it straight away.
It's like, it's only a small motor. And she went, fine, they're coming by helicopter anyway. And she was like almost kind of just being like, oh, look at you with your tiny boat.
It absolutely made me howl when he's like, it's only got a small motor, Michelle.
Oh, yeah. That's a perfectly good point as well.
Also, good of the police to say, all right, you get on and get there in the boat. We'll meet you there. They still beat him there. I reckon the police were like, well, I was about to start my break.
Yeah. I've got to eat the Skinsters before I leave. Yeah, definitely.
Or they were just like, had a 5-minute conversation about the helicopter before they got into the helicopter.
Do you know why they were late? They found several canoes further down the river. Yeah. They were like, oh my God. These canoes, guys.
These fetch a pretty penny. Gather these up. Don't want to be looking for these.
Oh my God, it's a real canoe.
Canoes.
Meanwhile, in completely breaking with his MO, Cropsey eventually corners Alfred and just aggressively shushes him.
Shushed around the arm. Also, do you know when they spot is Karen's body here, right?
Yeah. This is
it looks like a still of how she died from previous. It's really strange. It's like,
and it only distracts him enough to be almost hit by a minecart. He's able to.
He hears it right at the last second. That was what they called in. What they call it in games when you got to press X right at the last minute.
You get a QTE.
Oh, quick time event.
Quick time event. Yeah, that was that. It started rolling down. You went press X. Oh shit! I didn't even have the controller in my hand. X.
I thought it was a cutscene.
I put the controller on the floor.
Yeah, I was having a sip of my drink. He does escape though. At which point, Cropsey has gone into boss mode and it's like, yeah, you know these shears are the whole time. Well, basically, that wasn't even my final form. Got a flamethrower now.
Which makes zero sense. You know, if you've been burned alive horrifically, I don't feel like your weapon would then be a portable flamethrower.
No, unless like he wants to inflict. I could understand him wanting to inflict the burning on the Toddster.
He's reclaiming it. He's taking it back.
I'm just wondering where he got it in the time that he was like killing a sex worker to the camp.
He was in New York, wasn't he? You can get anything.
Oh yeah.
I've murdered a sex worker. Now where can I get a flamethrower?
Or maybe she had one for her gardening business.
Oh, it's a weed burner.
That's it. She's getting rid of foliage at the end of the job.
Wasp nests and weeds.
Full circle.
Yeah,
I'm going to use this.
Either that,
but
or
he loses all his
points. He's put all of his points, having done enough kills. He's maxed out that skill tree. He's got a flamethrower now.
But he loses all his sneak ability because you could just see exactly where he is now until he switches it off, and then he vanishes again. Fucking weird.
So weird.
And he does. Weird. He encroaches on Todd, who's a bit dazed from the minecart incident. He encroaches on him long enough to trigger a flashback to confirm that it was Todd that burned him, and then turns it off and disappears. And he does.
I will say the image of him like walking through like the planks of wood and seeing like a glimpse of his face and the fire, I thought was like mega.
That was
like,
pretty sick. Yeah.
I mean, again, it's a credit to Savini, I suppose, like because we don't really get much of a look at Cropsey, do we, until like this ending. And then it's like in your face, which is worth it. Like, I think it's a great reveal. But
it is a good reveal, yeah.
Odd choice. I felt like the whole ending was very disjointed. So hearing of that, there was maybe some problems behind the scenes. Makes sense.
It might have just cut at that point, and then you just get this end scene by a completely different thing. Because Cropsey turns the flamethrower back on. He's put a few points into dodge as well because he can. He does like Matrix level dodging. Todd's got an axe now from somewhere. And he's swinging it at Cropsey's head, and he's dodging it. He's all over the place. He's sort of alien isolationing it. He's just shooting the flamethrower a bit and spook Todd. And then his downfall is meek and mild hero of the piece, big old incel Alfred, pops up with a pair of shears.
Meek and mild peeping Tom, Alfred. Yeah, and he stabs him in the back. And then
he just kind of goes, doesn't he? He just goes down.
He goes down, lets them escape, and then as the police helicopters arrive, he pops back up again, and they double team him, flamethrower and axe together at last.
I mean, the axe to the face was pretty special.
Yeah,
I enjoyed that.
Yeah.
And I did like the image of him just burning
away. They have Tom Savini's legs, apparently.
But I don't mean to bring up the. I don't mean to bring up the film of the moment again, Freddy versus Jason, but it really reminded me of that. Freddy versus Jason when they're like, Freddy's scared of fire and Jason's scared of water. And
how do we use that? How do we use it?
How do we use that? How do we use the flamethrower against him? How do we do it? Yeah. Sorry, I had to get that thought out of my head.
Listen, Kelly, like neither Freddy or Jason was killed by negging, and yet here you are.
Yeah, poor Cropsy gets it. And we we see him burn for a good.
Yeah, it's like a definitive death, though, isn't it? Because obviously there's not been a sequel. That's right.
But is it really a definitive death, Ben?
I was going to say, yeah.
Oh yeah, because they say okay,
because it's all just a story.
And they never found the body.
The curtain comes back, and then much like when the Toddster was reading the story earlier on, a completely different summer camp boy does the same thing. You know what? Hokey as it was, I quite like this. I quite like that it was a story that was like,
I did,
body, and every year there might be a Cropsy, and he comes to your camp.
Cropsy or a Flopsy, you're a Bopsy, might come and get you.
They
never find the body. It's down there with an axe in its face. It's burning down there, and they never find the body.
The police were like, right.
It's the police report. Like, they just couldn't be asked to go in. Like, yeah, we never found a body. Like, you haven't even got in yet. It's like, no, we just.
Where's the body? Down in that mine.
I
have not got the right footwear for this. Crocs. I've got Crocs on.
The smoke coming out of there. Like...
the smell of burning flesh.
Yeah. Right, everyone. I'll give you a choice. We've got to knock off in a few minutes. We can either go and confirm that he's dead and find the body, or we can gather the canoes back up. Well,
canoes.
Got a bit of canoes. And that's that for Cropsy. He's done. Okay, next up is Name Game. No Luke Condor with a K. So we've got to take the reins. Have you got any, Andy?
I got a couple for you, yeah.
You got a couple? Do you want to go first?
Yeah, I can run one.
Okay.
For you.
Do you guys know how Name Game works?
I might need you to run over it once more.
Okay. So basically, we'll describe a film which is very similar to The Burning, the title of which will sound like The Burning.
A little bit like it, a bit of a rhyming game.
Yeah.
A little bit of wordplay, just to finish off the evening.
Just based on the brief description of the film, try and work out what the movie's actually called.
Are we working together on this, or is this like an individual?
Oh, it can be. This is how we'll decide.
All right, competitive.
Yeah, head to head.
I wanted your help, Liam. I didn't want to be on my own.
Head to head. It's got to be.
This is how the best Liam is decided. Yeah. So, in a prank gone wrong, a man called Cropsy is left with a really rubbery face, which he uses to win competitions for, sticking his tongue out and going.
I know what this is because this is exactly what I've written down. We really need to cross.
Gurning, the Gurning,
correct.
I get how this works now.
Yeah, there we go.
I was trying to think of like a real film.
Yeah. My clue for the Gurning was a summer camp where everybody pops a pill or two and joins Cropsy for a raid in the mine. I've only got one now.
You go your other one, Ben, before I go to anything else.
Okay. Glazer and this isn't even a description of the film, just one particular scene. When Glazer and Sally were getting it on in the woodland on the ground, Glazer spots Alfred and decides he'd rather prematurely ejaculate with him instead.
The yearning?
No.
Shit. The sperming.
That is good as well. But let's just try and concentrate on the fact that he was with Sally, but then he spotted Alfred and decided to go for Alfred instead.
The turning.
Correct. Yes.
Oh, very good.
Oh, I get you. I get you.
Turned gay.
I'm there.
That was a gay joke for you, Liam.
He's turned gay. That's it. But the yearning and the sperming, I think, were equally as good. So feel free to give yourself half a point for both of those.
Half point each. Here's some for you again.
I'm so sorry.
So after a prank has gone wrong, young campers over at Dairy Camp are shocked when a disfigured man.
The churning.
That's right.
Nailed
Dairy Camp. Can I go to Dairy Camp, please?
I want to go to Dairy Camp so badly.
The churning, correct. Next up, after a prank goes wrong, young campers are distressed when loads of like plants from the olden days, what dinosaurs used to eat, encroach upon them and murder them. The ferning, correct.
What a description!
I love it.
I'm getting warm now.
and then finally, when a prank goes wrong years later, lots of prosperous and promising science students in the future. Not quite. The learning. They find that they are placed in peril when they go on camp to the European Organization for Nuclear Research.
Oh Jesus! Liam? Did you say the learning?
I said the learning.
The learning's very good, but they're not.
I didn't hear you say the learning because I jumped in with the learning. The learning.
That's
learning, mate.
They went to where?
So they went to a nuclear place.
The European Organization for Nuclear Research. But when you put that into French, what they're doing is they're messing with a Mass Hadron Collider. What are they doing?
Bollocks.
Science.
Is it turning?
That's right. It's the cerning.
Jesus.
Cerning, yeah.
He's hadron colliding him. His old Cropsey this time.
He's inventive, that Cropsey.
Would have never.
I really would like seeing someone to be killed via butter churner. I really would.
Yeah. The churning is my personal favorite. Yeah.
To be fair, infinite number of universes. Now we know that Cropsey exists as an urban legend concept. All of these films could be made. Just a different story each time. Where Cropsey,
the multiverse of Cropsey.
He's at it again. It has to rhyme with the burning, though. Sometimes he's yearning, sometimes he's cerning, sometimes he's yearning.
All we've got to do now is rate the film from A to F. That's how our rating system works. So we'll let you guys go first. Liam's, how you feeling? What you saying?
I'll give it a big old D.
A big old D. Okay.
Big old D. It's not like I didn't have a terrible time with it. Like I actually had a lot of fun watching this, and obviously like the effects were great. I audibly laughed at certain points, not intentionally. Like it wasn't the film trying to make me laugh. So like I had some moments that like really made me chuckle. And so yeah, it's not as high as I'd want it to be, because on paper, like a nice little serial slasher from the 80s set at a summer camp is like right up my street. But it was like, I feel like I couldn't look past the context of it all, like a modern day context of it all. So yeah, it would have just been big old D for me.
I think I'm going to jump in just slightly higher. I'm going to go for a C, but it will be a low one. Just because I enjoyed the music, I enjoyed the special effects. I did think some of the kills were quite creative. And yeah, I mean, if I'm being honest, I did jump a couple of times even watching this. You know, the bit where he does say he looks like a Big Mac, and then that roasted hand jumps out. Like,
oh yeah,
that got me.
Give me your supervisor. You can't say that to me.
Yeah, when he goes full Karen and asks for the manager.
I am a patient at this hospital. I do not deserve this treatment.
So yeah, I don't know. I think inadvertently it was a lot funnier than it maybe meant to be, because I think it is actually quite a serious film, but it's just very stupid. So yeah, C.
Andy?
I
What have you got?
was about to say I'm going to join Liam on this one, but I'll have to be more specific than that. I'm going to join Liam Banks here on a C as well. I think, again, talking about this, I always come away and I think I'm going to go a little bit lower than that. And then we sit here for a couple of hours and talk about them and have a lovely laugh. And then it enkindles a fondness for me for the film from having talked about it with good friends and having a lovely hangout about it. So now Cropsey is very silly and most people in it are quite rapey and horrid, but but there was some fun to have here. It's no sleepaway camp, not by a million miles.
A star.
Yeah. But taking it to the film, I think it really recovered it with the urban legend element at the end. And now I know that there's a real legend behind it as well. I kind of like it even more. And they're right, there are some practical kills there that are fun. Script-wise and everything like that, it's not tongue-in-cheek and funny enough to get away with some of its grubby elements. So it's only a C, but there's some creative and fun stuff to be had here. So it probably won't make it onto a very regular rotation of slashers that I revisit all the time, but it is one I'm glad I've seen. So a C from me.
Yeah, I think I'll go for like maybe a C minus, probably, just to hammer that home, because I did enjoy it. And it's nice. It's quite a unique sort of film, sort of a standalone slasher with no sequels or anything like that. And the effects are good, as you mentioned. The music's good, and it is effective. The fact that there's no real like killer reveal. I know, of course, the same thing happens in Friday the 13th, but the fact that you don't see the killer, in his final form until right at the end, and the way it was revealed was good. I just thought there was a bit of a slog, maybe just at the start of the third act, where it's kind of lost a bit of momentum. But that canoe sequence with the fingers getting lopped off and everything was pretty brutal and effective. But yeah, I go for a C minus. I'll probably watch it again at some point.
Yeah, I'd like to get drunk and watch it, I think.
Again, we've mentioned this on the podcast before. There are films that are really good to watch with other people that aren't particularly good to watch, on your own. But as soon as you're with other people, and if you add alcohol to the mix as well, this would be good. Like
this would be a great film to watch with other people. It really would.
Yeah, a party movie.
You could dress up as Cropsey for Halloween.
Just smear
just come as
old...
just Big Mac sauce and.
Gherkins,
just a McDonald's bag.
Oh, this is the Freddy versus Jason that we really need. Cropsey versus the Hamburglar. Who's going to win?
That's it.
Who is going to win? Okay, there we go then. That is The Burning. So thanks so much to Liam Banks and Liam James. Thanks for joining us. Where can we follow you on social media? I guess give us the Their Queer podcast socials, but also your personal ones if you're happy with listeners accessing those.
Yeah, absolutely. The other Liam is very happy for that. Yeah, no, absolutely. Thank you for having us, first off. But if you do want to jump over to our stuff, it's at Their Queer Podcast on Instagram and at Their Queer on Twitter. All of our personal socials are like in the bios of all of that, so it's probably easier to find stuff there. There is a link tree as well in our bios, which if you are within
25k of me, I will see you on Grindr. So I'll see you on there. But also, if anyone's listening and has some like messed up like hookup stories, please send them our way. You can even like email them so they're anonymous at like theirqueerpodcast@outlook.com. But I really like to read them. I get some kind of like sick depravity out of them. But it's also great reading them out as well and getting to share those with other people. I love listening to them. Every episode, I somehow feel like you're not going to be able to top what I've heard before, but somehow you do it. The level of it has been said. It has been said.
The things that happen to people.
I'm quite versatile like that.
But yeah,
I will.
That's us.
Thanks very much, guys. I will also mention we've been discussing. So we do regular quiz episodes, isn't that right, Andy? Where Andy is the quiz master, and we were discussing potentially finding some potentially a pair of guys or girls that we can face in a horror quiz off. Potentially a summer themed one. Is that what we're talking about, Andy? Is that
I think it
potentially?
is. Summer themed. Well, depends how many questions I have to.
Are you guys asking us out? Is that what
I don't know. I'm not sure if he's going to zig or zag here because he could have an excellent burn. He says, "Do you know anyone?"
I was like, I'm going to be really gutted if at the end of this he's like, "So we're not going to ask you two."
I love quizzes so much.
We've done, how many quizzes have we done so far, Andy? Like 4?
4, 5?
Always a good time. So feel free to go and check those episodes out. Previous episodes we've done. What I'm trying to say is I do make a habit of challenging people at the end of episodes live on pod. So this is me. I'm putting it out there. I'm challenging you to a Horror Hangout versus Their Queer podcast horror quiz with Andy as
challenge accepted.
Perfect. Challenge accepted. Yeah.
And I'll put it out there, guys, just to make sure we're on the public record. This isn't running a government. There's far more ethics behind it than this. Even though I podcast with Luke and Ben, I don't let them know the questions. I enjoy seeing them suffer as much as anyone else. So
wow,
sounds good. We'll get something in the diary then. Let's do it.
I'm excited.
Awesome. So thanks so much for listening. Next week we're doing teeth, which you've already mentioned. Yeah. So that will be
jam.
Great film.
That'll be an experience.
Good luck.
Good times all around.
Yeah, it's it's a good date movie, I think.
Yeah. Okay.
Great date.
I think all the characters in this film should have watched Teeth before they went to summer camp.
Or
it would have been a
sit and watch this.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why he got a rough condom, to make sure he was protected.
That's it. Yeah.
No lube. So thanks very much for listening. If you enjoyed the show, become a patron over at patreon.com/horror hangout. Thanks to Taj Easton for our theme music. Thanks to Acast for hosting the show. Please consider giving us a rating or review, or head over to the Facebook group Horror Hangout Board of Advisors to interact with us more. Thanks so much to Andy and both Liams for being right horror dudes.
Oh, I like that. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, Ben,
nice
as well. Putting the effort in. Thank you.
Oh, yeah. I like to try. Yeah. See you later, everybody.
Bye.
Bye, everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.